my pleasure to welcome all of you. So, these 2 days are going to be super insightful and super productive. I hope you have a great time here. Firstly, I welcome all of you. And for today's session, we have um we have Mudit Ji Bansali. So, firstly, I would like to welcome the speakers. I request CA Ankit Rathi, CA Mudit Bansali, and CA Ishwar Kumar Ramji Bhai Jivani to come and take your seats. Startup Sphere is a program that aims to bring together the startup community, partners, unicorn, influencers, founders, investors, leaders, and entrepreneurs to discuss a wide range of topics related to startups. Some of the key themes that will be covered in the program include governmental support for startups, alternative sources of funding such as revenue financing, debt, hedging, new avenues in startups, the art and science of startup valuation, term sheets, shareholders agreement, legal documents, and key clauses. In addition, there will be a great panel discussion on the same. So it is my pleasure to welcome all of you. I would request CA Ankit Rathi sir to come and give the opening remarks.
Thank you. Very good afternoon. Yeah, it's my indeed pleasure and privilege to welcome you all again on this open session. Yeah, very good afternoon. It's my immense indeed pleasure and privilege to be here with you all and welcome you all in this open area for a very particular and very specific and a very interesting topic that is opportunity for chartered accountant in startup ecosystem. At the outset, let me first recognize the presence of our today's speaker, Mudit Bhai, and Regional Council member, my colleague Ishwar Bhai. Mudit Bhai, thank you so much for being agreeing to deliver your session and being agreed to bless the dice. Thank you so much. Despite of your so much busy schedule, you took time and being agree. Friends, as a startup is not my core area, but despite I can say from my practical experience, what CA can do in a startup. अगर प्रैक्टिकली बात करें तो फ्रॉम द वे जब एकदम स्टार्टअप किसी टेक पर्सन के या किसी के बंदे के दिमाग में आता है ना कि यार मेरे को स्टार्टअप में ये करना है तो वहीं से चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट का रोल स्टार्ट होता है क्योंकि सबसे पहले उसके दिमाग में क्या आता है कि यार ये काम करना है दूसरा पर्सन कौन है कि यार अब मैं इसके लिए कंपनी कैसे इनकॉर्पोरेट करूँ क्या करूँ तो सीधा पर्सन दिमाग में जो पर्सन आता है ना वो है हम लोग तो वी हैव ए ह्यूज अपॉर्चुनिटी इन दिस पर्टिकुलर एरिया and for this we have a very particular and a very talented speaker Mudit bhai so I not want to take much of your time. Thank you so much.
So, I would like to introduce CA Mudit Bansali. He has an experience of more than 10 years in indirect taxes, business, and startup advisory. He is an expert in setting up processes with a technological blend and instrumental in bringing automation in various business process. His creative and dynamic ideas brings value addition not just for organization but for the clients as well. He also mentors startups on regular basis and is on the advisory board of health tech startups. He is nominated member in the committee of MSME and Startup WIRC of the ICI. He is a regular speaker at the National Academy for Customs, Indirect Tax and Narcotics, ICAI, Terapan Professional Firm, Chitkara University, Chandigarh, and other professional bodies. His topic for today is opportunities for chartered accountants in the startup ecosystem. I request CA Mudit sir to come and share his words of wisdom.
A very warm good afternoon to everyone. And thank you, Surbi, for the short introduction. I acknowledge the presence of Ankit Rathi and Ishwar Bhai. Well, we know it's raining heavily outside, but now you're gonna witness it's raining heavily inside because we're gonna talk about opportunities for the chartered accountants. So are you ready to get drenched into that opportunities and grab those opportunities for the chartered accountants? Are we ready for that? All right. So the topic is very interesting. But what kind of opportunities for the chartered accountants is there in India? Now I'll be focusing more on how you can grab those opportunities. Opportunities सबके पास होती है, but the more important aspect of life is that how you grab the opportunities there at your disposal. So being a chartered accountant, we need to ensure that the world is advancing, Indian economy is advancing, whether I as a chartered accountant, being a prime stakeholder in the startup ecosystem, whether I am advancing or not. Now, if I say that we are doing a practice on a sole proprietorship, will I be able to take the advantage of that into startup ecosystem? The answer would probably be no. So what are the avenues as a chartered accountant for me who has done technically excellent, but somewhere, missing on certain aspect of practice or maybe the way he's doing his business? So I'll directly start with what are the opportunities available. अब ये स्टार्टअप स्टार्टअप बहुत सुनते हैं, स्टार्टअप स्पीयर, आईसीआई स्टार्टअप, यहाँ स्टार्टअप, वो स्टार्टअप, जीरोदा इज स्टार्टअप, ओला इज स्टार्टअप. सो व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय स्टार्टअप? डज इट मीन दैट अ लॉस मेकिंग कंपनी इज अ स्टार्टअप? या हम कभी कभी सुनते हैं कि जिसको फंडिंग मिल गई वो स्टार्टअप है. I would like to draw an analogy wherein our forefathers, when they came to Mumbai, they started with their own business idea, जिसको हम तब आइडिया नहीं बोलते थे, कि उन्होंने काम चालू किया. Even that particular thing was a startup. But in today's time, the buzzword is so prominent that each and every person is talking about startup, startup, startup. So let's understand what startup is all about in a layman's term. I won't go into the definitions and all those. So थोड़ा relax. काफी लोग ना एकदम stiff बैठ गए कि यार कुछ तो सीखना है. So let me tell you that it is not a technical subject. I will give you pointers wherein your thought process will be opened up, that how you can ensure the opportunities which is lying in front of you, you can grab that. So my focus would be enlighten you and awaken you from the thought process that how you can grab those opportunities which is lying in front of you. So if you see in layman terms, the term startup refers to a company which is in the initial stage of the operations, which is founded by one or more entrepreneurs who want to develop a product or a service for which they believe there is a demand. अब आप कोई भी एग्जांपल ले लीजिए इसमें, चाहे वो उबर हो या ओला हो या जीरोदा हो. When they started up, they thought that there is a demand. Let's take an example of Zerodha. When Zerodha was incorporated, they thought that there is a demand for the investors to invest into the share market. If you see erstwhile what people used to do, they used to go to the share market. Bombay Stock Exchange में गया, सर आप तो जानते होंगे, you belong from the grey, family. So you must be aware about the fact when during old days you used to go to the stock market and वहाँ पे आप अपना trade place करते थे. When Zerodha thought of this idea, create some ecosystem for the investors, wherein at a single click of button they can invest into the shares they want to. So that's where the startup ideology has developed. Now I would like to throw some statistics in terms of where does startup ecosystem in India lies. If you can see the statistics, India is the third largest startup ecosystem. Based on that, you can understand what are the opportunities available for all the chartered accountants, all the financial professionals, all the players in the startup ecosystem to play a vital role in this ecosystem. How many registered startups? 92,683 registered startup as on 28th Feb 2023. So these are the registered startups. Now when the registered startups are this much, that means I can definitely say on this stage that around 1,50,000 startups are there. Of course, few of the startups must have not been registered on DPIIT. Now if you see how many unicorns India has produced, roughly around 108 unicorns are there in India, be it Zerodha, Ola, Uber, Khatabook and Nameso. Now here is the key parameter what I want to focus is, because it is more related to our way of practice, which is a fintech. Out of the total startups, 7.1% startups are fintech startups, and that's where the opportunities for us lies. We being from the financial background, we understand finance than any other professional in the world. So it is for us to understand that what are the opportunities available for us as a chartered accountant in the fintech space. Of course, I mean that's a statistics again. 2 to 3 startups are born every day. हम एक नॉर्मली जब मैं रेस्टोरेंट से कोई ओनर से बात करता हूँ तो उनसे एक ऐसी बात करता हूँ कि एवरी डे 5 रेस्टोरेंट्स गेट ओपनड एंड 3 गेट शट डाउन. सो सेम इज द स्टोरी ऑफ स्टार्टअप्स. हर दिन 2-3 नए स्टार्टअप्स खड़े होते हैं और 1-2 स्टार्टअप बैठ जाते हैं. That's how the ecosystem is. And whenever we talk in layman's term, that we say out of 100 startups, only 2 to 3 startups succeed, and they see the limelight towards the IPO. Now, here I would like to draw attention of the audience or the chartered accountants or the professionals that how the business has all evolved. If you see, कि पहले हम काली पीली में या टैक्सी में ट्रेवल करते थे. We used to wait for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or we used to walk down from our home or to the main road. We used to take 5 minutes. But now on the single click of button, we get the taxi at our doorstep. This is how the business has evolved. Same example of how you can trade in the stock market. How erstwhile it was used to be done. Now on the single click of button, you can invest into the stock market. The point I want to throw over here is how the businesses has evolved. Now the question is whether we have evolved along with the businesses or not. We as a chartered accountants have evolved ourselves in our practices or our way of doing the services or our way of delivering the services to the clients. Business substantially grow ho chuka hai, but where are we standing at? So let me throw some light on that as well. So are you riding the same boat? Now these are some statistics. The most alarming strategy is over there, sole proprietor, which is 69% of the chartered accountants are practicing in as a sole proprietor. That is the alarming thing. जब business evolve हो रहे हैं, then why not I as a chartered accountant is getting evolved? That is the biggest question mark I want to throw to the audience, to the chartered accountants, to give them a food for their thought, that we need to understand if businesses are growing, why am I not growing? And that's the reason this slide shows the picture. 69% of the chartered accountants are practicing on sole proprietorship, and then we crib that our business is going, technology is taking away our business, ClearText is coming and is taking away our entire business. आज ClearText आया है, कल ChatGPT से और कुछ आएगा, because the world is evolving. The question is whether you are evolving or not, whether you are hailing in the same boat or not. Now let me tell you, throw some contracts data point. When I say 69% of the chartered accountants are practicing on the sole proprietorship model, now this is the power of chartered accountant. 3.32 billion people in the world, and we are just a small species, 0.01%. And we know that how effective and how efficient we are. So that's the power of a chartered accountant. We belong to the smallest community, but we have the largest impact in the ecosystem. Do we agree with me or not? Now here the entire psychology plays a different role. Now I want audience to engage with me. Can someone tell me what is the difference between both the things? One is looking dull and the other one is branded. Yes, sir. It's much bigger, it's much smaller. Anyone else? One is economy, private. He got it correct. So this is the ordinary plane and this is a chartered plane. So my dear friends, let me tell you कि एक जो अकाउंटेंट और चार्टेड अकाउंटेंट में जो फर्क है वो एक चार्टेड का ही फर्क है. Now if I want to travel from here to Delhi and if I ask a person that give me a chartered plane, what will he tell me? Sir, the price of that particular chartered plane would be 3 lakh rupees and it will be scheduled at this point in time. Correct? However, the price of the ordinary plane would be 5,000-6,000 of Delhi. Correct? Now that's the difference. The word plays the difference. That is the chartered. And that's when the chartered comes as a baggage to us, then it comes along with the premium class, premium service, premium price and premium customer. The basic fundamental thought process, what we miss is that we consider ourselves as an accountant. We chartered accountant never feel that we are a chartered accountant. We always feel that we are just an accountant. And that's the reason market perception is that chartered accountant is our compliance officer. They are not revenue generating machines. We want to tell the business owners, we want to tell the customers, we want to tell the people that we are chartered accountant. We are not the ordinary accountant. We are the chartered accountant who gonna command higher price, premium packaging, premium quality, and then premium pricing. And that's where the client will value us. Now, when I say that we are selling in the same boat, 90% or maybe 98% of the chartered accountants are doing all these kind of services. The entire landscape of the chartered accountant services sum up in this particular slide. If I ask few of the chartered accountants कि आप क्या सर्विस प्रोवाइड करते हो, तो बोलेंगे सर मैं ये करता हूँ, सर मैं ट्रांसफर प्राइसिंग करता हूँ, सर मैं ऑडिट करता हूँ, सर मैं जीएसटी रिटर्न फाइल करता हूँ, सर मैं टैक्स ऑडिट करता हूँ. And those chartered accountants will be crying कि सर मैं सिर्फ यही करता हूँ and the client is not paying me. My word might be so harsh, it might pain, but I'm throwing my heart out when I talk on this particular topic. So the point is, are we restricting ourselves to this particular landscape, or we want to go beyond that and grab the opportunities which is there lying in front of us? Now I have researched about what are the top professionals which are in demand. मैंने चैट जीपीटी में डाला कि what are the professionals, who are the professionals which are there in the demand, and what answers I got. अब यहाँ पे मुझे बता दीजिए कि यहाँ पे चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है क्या, या कोई फिनेंस का बंदा भी है क्या, बता दीजिए. So where do we stand? When I know that next 10 years gonna be for other professionals, then what am I doing? This is the published data, reported data, that these are the professionals who gonna have work in their hand. Now where are the chartered accountants? Now I'll take you through the entire 360 degrees shift from here, and that's where our core focus would be. This is our survivor slide, the smart skills. Gone are those days when you are becoming a technical expert and restricting yourself to the technical expertise and not developing your core skill sets. Now these are the top 10 skills, or the skillful person who gonna go ahead and be part of the change that is the world is witnessing. If you see digital literacy, digital data literacy, critical thinking, I'll come to that part as well, how critical thinking can be evolved in chartered accountants to take an informed decision for the clients. We are, and any which ways we are doing for our clients, but somewhere we are not trying to position that particular aspect into our services. Collaboration, leadership skills, creativity, value addition. So I always tell people that the only addiction you should have is of value addition. लाइफ में चाय का नशा रखो मत रखो, बट एक वैल्यू एडिशन का नशा हमेशा रखो. That wherever you go, be it at your client place, be it in your family, be it at your friends, you should have addiction of creating value addition. The moment you have that addiction, people will be ready to give you any amount what you ask for. So that's a line I've read, and I try to incorporate in my slide. So once a new technology rolls over you, if you're not part of stream roller, you are part of the road. रोड को हमने कभी बनते हुए देखा है, उसके ऊपर रोलर घूमता है. सो इधर यू बी पार्ट ऑफ द रोलर के साथ आप इवॉल्व होते जाओ, और यू बी पार्ट ऑफ दैट रोड कि एक बार जहाँ पे रोड खत्म हो गई स्टैग्नेंट, देन देयर इज नो ग्रोथ ऑफ योर्स. So it is you who have to decide that where you want to go. And one punchline I always say that learn and master one skill. At least some of the skills what I have stated over here. You need to learn and master at least one skill. Rest everything would technology kill. टेक्नोलॉजी सबको बर्बाद कर देगी, बट अगर आपके पास स्किल सेट्स है, यू विल बी अ हीरो इन योर लाइफ, यू विल बी अ हीरो इन योर बिजनेस. सो लर्न एनी ऑफ द स्किल्स. And we are chartered accountants. On day-to-day basis we learn, so it's not that difficult for us as a chartered accountant to learn skills. Now what value addition? So coming back to the topic of startup, if you see the startup journey, it starts with the ideation stage. Post ideation, it travels to the validation stage, then it is an early traction of the startups, and then there is a scale up stage, that is the growth stage. So these are the 4 prima facie milestone where a startup goes through. What I have tried to do is that I have linked what kind of services we as a chartered accountant can give to the startups at different stages of their growth. So the first stage is ideation stage. Now here I won't talk about कि आप इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न फाइल कीजिए, उनका कंपनी फॉर्मेशन कीजिए, आप उसकी ऑडिटिंग कीजिए, टैक्स ऑडिट कीजिए, जीएसटी ऑडिट कीजिए. दिस एवरीवन कैन डू. मैं यहाँ पे अगर एक बोर्ड लगा दूंगा ना, आई वांट अ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट टू फाइल अ इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न, आई विल गेट 100 चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स टू फाइल अ इनकम टैक्स रिटर्न. But if I put a board that I want a chartered accountant to give me an assessment whether I should start this particular startup or not, or whether I should go ahead with this startup idea, I will get only handful of chartered accountants. Why? Is it that we don't have those kind of skills? Sorry, we have. All chartered accountants just try to correlate with me on this part. Lot of your friends are there who take advice, phone call advice आपसे लेते हैं, correct? So what do they ask you for? They ask you for your valuable advice. अब वो valuable advice तो बोलने के लिए बहुत बोल देते हैं, but since it is given for free, it is not a valuable advice. You are master and expertise. You have their expertise in that giving a valuable advice. But since we don't charge it, people take it for granted. And that's the reason why we could never label it as a chartered accountant can give a strategic advice as well. हम देते हैं. आज भी हम मॉर्निंग में मुझे कॉल आया, he wanted to start with one a particular startup. He just threw his idea on me कि मुझे भाई ये करना है. So I just told him there are few startups who are already doing this. You can check with them what kind of services they are providing. So this is the instant services we give. So we have everything in our mind and we are able to deliver all those things. But somewhere packaging and labeling is missing of giving an expert advice in terms of businesses. We always try to focus on the compliance part and we never focus on the businesses. So at ideation stage, what you can do is you can be a business strategist, okay, which is you already doing it. When your friend or a family calls you to ask an advice in terms of this particular business I'm trying to set up, whether I should go to Vapi, Daman, Ahmedabad, Bangalore, Surat, Dubai, if he's asking that, that means he thinks that you are his strategic advisor. So develop that skill more and try to label that particular service and go to your clients and discuss that what are you doing in your business and how strategically I can play a vital role into your business. So that is the first aspect. You can be a business strategist. Second is market research. Now, well, chartered accountants, you should ensure that this is the gray area where none of the chartered accountants have ventures into. I can see a lot of MBAs have ventured into this particular space. A lot of non-chartered accountants have ventured into this. This is the hot space wherein market research. अब market research क्या होता है? When a particular startup want to start a particular startup, what they do is they engage a professional or the consultant who can give them the idea that whether I should go ahead with this particular startup idea or not. So they do an in detail market analysis, that what is the market size of that particular sector, what he want to get into, what are the categories of the customers available in that particular segment, and how large the market is, जो हम कभी टाइम बोलते हैं total addressable market. So this is the research which can be done by a chartered accountant. The reason why, because we as a chartered accountant have a huge exposure in terms of all the industries. So for us to venture into any of the industry and get the data from out of that industry, it's two calls away. Correct? So this is the area wherein you can venture into. Now this is the ideation stage. Next stage is you can become a strategic investor. Like I as a chartered accountant have invested into 2 startups. I have not just, so मैंने investment कितना किया? I have invested only 1 lakh rupees. Now that's a peanut. Few of the chartered accountant might think, क्या 1 lakh रुपया invest किया, क्या बड़ी बात है? But I have become a strategic investor to them. I have a say in anything what they do in their business. So you must be having some clients who want to start their entrepreneur journey as a startup. What you can do is you can pump in some seed amount and you can become a strategic investor. I'll take a reference of Zerodha over here. Zerodha में जो काम करते हैं वहाँ पे एक चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट है. Many of you are not aware. We see that the growth journey of Zerodha is super fantastic. But there also a chartered accountant is there who has helped both the founders start from the scratch. पेन कार्ड से उनको एडवाइस दी है और आज जाके वो बोर्ड पे बैठे. Now that is the power of a chartered accountant, that they can become the strategic investor as well as a strategic advisor in terms of the businesses. So ये चीज आपको कहीं बाहर जाना नहीं है, आपके जो क्लाइंट्स है उनके साथ ही बातचीत करनी है. The problem with us is, or the challenge I would say is that we interact with our client at the last. He has done the business transaction, he has done everything, then he comes to us, sir मैंने USD मंगा लिया, अब क्या करूं? And then when we say that the charges would be 25,000, he says, sir किस बात का charges? Now take the reverse scenario. When he comes to us and takes the advice that whether I should call USD or in INR or in XYZ, then the whole scenario changes, and then you can say that, boss, for this opinion I would charge 1 lakh rupees. He would be bound to pay you 1 lakh rupees, which otherwise he was hesitant to pay you even 5,000 rupees. Now the second perspective is validation stage. जहाँ पे एक ideation stage आ गया है, उसके बाद एक validation. Now the startup has validated his idea. आपने research report दी, ये based on your research report, the founders were convinced that yes, we have to go ahead with this particular idea. And then there is a validation stage wherein you can set process, data collation. These are the areas where MBAs do excellently well. But we as a chartered accountant can here also act as an stimulator for the startups founder in terms of the data. Because we as a chartered accountant are the best in data analytics. अब बहुत लोग ना वर्ड सुन के डर जाते हैं, घबरा जाते हैं कि यार डेटा एनालिटिक्स तो हमें आता नहीं, हम तो टेक्नोलॉजी वाले नहीं है. व्हाट डू यू मीन बाय डेटा एनालिटिक्स? कि एक डेटा को एनालिसिस करना, as simple as that. The problem with us is that we always try to link everything with the technology, and the moment technology comes, we take a backstage and we feel that we don't know the technology. So somewhere we need to realize that technology is the only aspect of a business. Technology is not a business. Okay? So here also we can play a vital role, and while processing the process or setting up the process, you can also advise them which kind of technology they can use. The third stage is the early traction stage. Again, setting up the process has been done. Now what you have to ensure is that you can set an MIS toolkit for the clients. आपका ideation हो गया, validation हो गया. Now the traction will start flowing in. Now, for example, if the website is live, you will get the orders from the customers. Now, when the orders from the customer comes, there would be a lot of inflow of data. Now, the management would want a professional to give them the analysis that what kind of demographic where the data is getting from, how many orders I'm getting from which particular state, what kind of people are consuming my services, what kind of people are ordering my particular product. So all this statistic analysis would be done by a chartered accountant. And then last stage, which is the scaling stage, again a huge role can be played by the chartered accountants over there. And fundraising, हमने पैसा डाल दिया day one पे. Now we also want as an investor into that particular startup that startup grows and we get maximum return of our investments. So हमें यहाँ पे ये ध्यान रखना है कि उनको next level of funding कैसे raise करें, that can be played by a chartered accountant. And in every company there is a chartered accountant. So for you to get reference of any company, you are just a call away and connect to a particular chartered accountant and get the work done from them. And last point is very important, is business collaboration. That is the aspect where a chartered accountant can play a very vital role. Let's take an example. You have 5 clients who are into logistics sector. Now 3 clients are having businesses from last 50 years. Brick and mortar पे कर रहे हैं, कोई technology नहीं है, but they are well established business houses. You got one startup who wants to get into this logistic industry and they have built some technology software. Now you as an synergy provider, what you can do is you can collab that. And since both the client has trust on you, you will be the best person who can guide them in a best possible way. So ये जो रोल है ये हम कभी करते नहीं, हम समझते कि ये ब्रोकरेज वाला काम हो गया. How many people think that this is a brokerage kind of work? So we always think that this is a brokerage kind of work and this is not my work. I am only meant to do advisory on taxation, income tax, GST, transfer pricing. That's it. No, here you can play a very vital role, and MBAs are doing excellent over here. We have a first-hand exposure to the client. Still, we are not able to give this particular service. So we need to focus over here how we can ensure that synergies can be brought in our clients who are working in the same industry. I took example of the logistic industry. You can take any of the example. Just see your clients, what your clients are doing, observe them, look at them from the perspective what are the key areas wherein I can pitch in and play a vital role and be a strategic advisor to them. I don't want to become an accountant for them. I want to become a strategic advisor to them. Once you become a strategic advisor to them, he will ask your advice at any given point in time. Now the issue is when I just spoke about कि हम थोड़ा टेक्नोलॉजी का नाम आता है तो हम घबरा जाते हैं. We get shivering हो जाता है कि यार what technology is all about. Coding, C++, Java, Angular, Python, PHP. We don't know all this. We are not familiar with these words. Now there is a silver lining difference between tech-enabled business and tech businesses. Now tell me one thing, ClearTex is tech-enabled business or a tech business? ClearTex क्या है? Tech-enabled business. अब ClearTex जो बनाने वाला था वो चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट था क्या? आइडियली ClearTex कौन बनाना चाहिए था? Ideally, ClearTex should have been done by a chartered accountant. But since we could not grab that opportunities, other professionals took the advantage of these particular opportunities and could deliver a world-class product or a SaaS platform, I can say that. Now, that's the silver lining you have to fit into your mind, that there is a huge difference between a tech-enabled business and a tech business. You need to bring technology into your business and then it becomes a tech-enabled business. You bring technology as a business, that is a tech business. Now when I say that with so convince, let me throw some data points. कि जितने जो startups है, 92,683 startups are there, and out of that only 15,000 startups are tech startups. मतलब आज जब तो हम यही सोचते थे कि जो भी स्टार्टअप होता है मतलब टेक्नोलॉजी में कुछ कर रहा होगा, दैट इज अ स्टार्टअप. That was the notion we had in our mind. Now see this particular stats, you will understand only 15,000 startups are there which are tech startups. Rest all are tech enabled startups. And that's where our opportunity lies on the remaining part, where a chartered accountant can play a very vital role over there. For that, what you have to do is, opportunities मैंने बता दी बहुत सारी है, but what you have to do is, you have to open up your mind and think bold and beyond. When ClearTex thought of creating a software for the chartered accountants, they thought bold and beyond. They engaged chartered accountant for delivering or getting that, understanding what the taxation field is all about. But why a chartered accountant could not do that? Because somewhere he realized that it is not my work. ये तो technology वाले का काम है. But let me tell you, friends, we as a chartered accountants are master in processes. We understand the process than any of the professional in the world. Any of the professional in the world. So the moment we realize that we are the process owner and we can do justice, or we can give 100% to any of the processes, we can engage hundreds of professionals from the IT world to get that particular process driven into a technological world. That is what we have to understand and realize. अब जीरोधा का डिस्ट्रप्टिव थिंकिंग वहीं पे हो गया था. All this fintech startup should have been the brainchild idea of all chartered accountants. But since we are not thinking beyond, we are only restricting ourselves into the compliance part. We are not thinking beyond, and other professionals are taking advantage of that. And at the end of day, what we'll do is we'll cry and we'll creep that ClearTex ने हमारा business ले लिया, या कोई और एक सॉफ्टवेयर आ रहा है जो हमारा ऑडिटिंग का सर्विस लेके चला जाएगा. They will take, gradually they will take. So why we as a chartered accountant cannot build a software which can cater to the industries wherein we want to? Why? What is that restricting us? Only the mindset of that we don't understand technology. The point is, there is no requirement of technology at the initial stage. Once you design the processes, then the technology comes in and deliver the end product. Same example of ClearTex I have already spoken about. Now, when we talk about opportunities, I would also like to throw on the part that opportunity itself says that unity. Somewhere that is missing in our chartered accountants कि जब हम opportunity की बात करते हैं, that is the reason why I focused on the initial slide that 69% of the chartered accountants are sole proprietorship. They are working on the sole proprietorship model. They don't want to get themselves evolve into an ecosystem wherein they can do much higher things in their life. And that's where I say that we need to unite. And this is the time that the expert person can deliver in a better way. Let's take an example. Mr. A is there, he's an expert in income tax, and Mr. B is there, he's an expert in GST. Now, when they individual go, they just market about themselves. But when they go and they say, we as a firm do all these services for the startup ecosystem, the startup founder would be more inclined to engage them as a together firm rather than an individual consultant. So that is the thought process we have to align, that we have to unite, and not just unite among ourselves, but we need to hire the other professional as well. I believe that Infosys के founder ने एक बात कही थी कि I want MBAs to run my businesses, correct? He said that I want MBAs to run my businesses, but I want chartered accountants to ensure that how these businesses have been run. So that is the value of a chartered accountant, and we need to understand that where does our actual potential lies and what are we doing. And there is a huge gap between that. Now these are the few points which talks about that once you unite, And once you form a network of CAs, or your four friends are there who are providing, who are expertise into different level. One is into strategic advisor, one is into valuation, one is into GST, one is into income tax. Now when four people come together, these are the benefit you get, and that is the multiplier effect you have in front of you. Cost sharing, knowledge sharing, you will share standard set of procedures, and client will come to know that unity is there, and these four people will give me the best result for my startup. In today's scenario, none of the founders would like to communicate with multiple consultants. They would only want a firm or a chartered accountant who is giving all the services. So we as a proprietor chartered accountant, we need to get ourselves united and build a strong network so that we can deliver best services to the startup ecosystem. Now, how do you do that? You need to hit the right button and ensure that the unprecedented opportunities which is there in ahead of us, that how we grab that. For that, you need to connect the right person, right people, and get out of the vicious circle. Now, what is that vicious circle? कि क्लाइंट अगर मुझे 5,000 रुपया देता है तो उसको मैं क्वालिटी भी वैसी दूंगा. अब आप क्वालिटी वैसी देते हो तो क्लाइंट आपको 5,000 रुपया देता है. नाउ दिस इज द विशियस सर्कल. वी ऑलवेज से दैट क्लाइंट अगर पैसा ज़्यादा देगा तो हम काम अच्छा करेंगे, और क्लाइंट सोचता है कि अगर ये काम अच्छा करे, ज़्यादा काम अच्छा करेगा, देन आई विल इंक्रीज हिज फीस. गेट आउट ऑफ दैट, डिलीवर गुड सर्विसेज and tell the client, don't pay me, first test my services, this is the draft report, this is I gonna deliver you, and this is what I gonna charge for you. And moment he see value addition on the table, he will never question or he will never think before giving you whatever fees you quote for. So get out of that vicious circle. Market your knowledge. We are very bad in marketing our knowledge. We are technical expert in any of the subject matter. I can see a lot of people who are master in that particular subject, but they are not marketing themselves. When I say market yourself, I mean to say market your knowledge. मैं आपको ब्रांडिंग करने नहीं बोल रहा हूँ कि आपकी कंपनी का ब्रांडिंग करिए, but at least market your knowledge. Understood? So we need to ensure that how you can market yourself in terms of technical expertise you have. Now the presentation what I made over here is not for the chartered accountants. ये ऐसा लगेगा किसी MBA ने बनाया है. There is no statement at all. So that's how you have to market yourself, and you have to tell the people that I am expert into this particular subject of mine. And that's where the people will come behind you, that I want your time for this particular thing. Add value. And last point is bring synergies, which I already spoke about. When you have your multiple clients, how you can bring synergies among your client itself. The moment you bring synergy, that would be an value addition for your client, and he will pay you additionally for that particular service as well, which otherwise you are doing it for free. On call advisory. आप उसको एक डॉक्यूमेंट भेजिए that this is the advisory services I will give you based on the assessment of your business. Just send him that I will do your business assessment and I will chart your growth trajectory, that where are you and where you should go. He will more than happy to engage you, and he will call you, sir आप आइए, let's discuss for 2 hours that what I should do in my business. Now this is the gold mine. I spoke about startups. What are the opportunities? Now these are certain specific areas, certain specific sectors you need to focus about as a chartered accountant. Fintech, of course, we belong to the financial industry. Then fintech is the biggest market, or the biggest opportunity lies over fintech. You see any of the fintechs, be it into loan financing, documentation, any of the fintech you can say, they have done exceptionally well. And I don't see any of these startups in fintech space are loss making. EdTech is the another promising space. Agri-tech is there, medtech is there, and deep tech is there. So these are the 5 prominent areas or the sectors I can say where chartered accountants can focus upon. Location wise also I've stated that Bangalore, Mumbai, NCR and Pune are the hot areas wherein the startup ecosystem is developing, wherein we can play a vital role into a startup ecosystem. And based on the services I've mentioned over there is startup analytics, mentorship. That is again the biggest area where the mentorship can be done to the startups. Now, when I say mentorship, you can have monthly 2 hours call with the startup or one-to-one meeting with the startup, and you can mentor them how you should go ahead with the things. Now, when I say mentorship, what you can do is you can just collate your 20, 30 years of experience and you can do the mentorship. You have experience of various industries, you have experience of various sectors, you have expertise of various types of entities. Based on that, you can do mentorship to the startups. And of course, this is a gray area wherein a lot of chartered accountants are not, doing is investing into the startups. हम हमारे क्लाइंट को एडवाइस करते हैं कि आप यहाँ यहाँ इन्वेस्टमेंट कीजिए, बट वी नेवर focus on our investment. So try to become a strategic investor into few of the startups who are very close to you, or your clients who want to start it up. You become a strategic investor with them. To do everything, what you need to have is vitamin C. So last 10 minutes, I'll just wind it up. I will want to give you this vitamin C, that how you can increase your level of expertise and your level of positioning in front of client. हम जब ये क्वेश्चन करते हैं ना कि क्लाइंट हमें पैसा नहीं देता है, the entire thing lies over here. It's all about packaging and it's all about how you demonstrate yourself in front of the client. So this is vitamin C, 3 C's, that is concept, content and creativity. Our services evolve around these three concept only, which is concept, content and creativity. Now what is concept? So try to correlate this particular thing in any of the services what you do. Maybe GST advisory, maybe tax consultancy, maybe transfer pricing, or maybe strategic advisory. Now what is the concept? That is an idea or invention to help sell or publicize. That you need to speak to your client that this is the concept I'm thinking about, this is the strategic advice I will give you. Now that is the concept. Sorry, that is the concept. Now the content. In that I will list down that how I'll be able to do it. That I will give you monthly MIS, I will give you monthly data points that you need to focus upon. Based on that, you can take the informed decision. And the third part is the creativity part, which is we chartered accountant lack in that. In terms of creative display of what work we have done. If you see Big Fours or any of the multinational firms, why they are excelling in what they are doing and why we are not excelling despite doing a lot of hard work, is the positioning part, and that's where the entire game lies. The creativity part, the reporting part, that the work what you have done, you need to demonstrate in a very creatively, so that the people at the management level can value that and can increase your fees as well. Based on the vitamin C, what results you will get is the revenue. The ultimately everyone is here to do the business. Now if I able to get my client and service my client in a particular fashion, then what I want is the maximum revenue I can get from that particular client. So that is important, is you communicate your concept with them, incorporate your content into the aspect, and capitalizing on the creativity, then you will ensure that maximum revenue is encashed. When I spoke about the mentorship, we have startupindia.gov.in. I would request all the startup as well as the CA who are founder as well as the advisor to the startups to register on this particular platform as a mentor. There's no fees at all. But what it will gain you is that a lot of startups will try to get engaged with you and try to seek your help in terms of mentorship. So initially there would be few of the startup who would be taking advices on call basis, but gradually based on your confidence level and you get the expertise or the handhold exposure over the mentorship, you can advise your client in that particular way. So ensure that you register on this particular platform of government and get maximum benefit out of it. Now this is again part of, as I spoke about the concept part. So हमने ये देखा होगा कि there is a vegan concept and there is a raw coconut water concept. Okay. Now what is that? हम रोड पे भी नारियल पानी पीते हैं. Now what does that नारियल पानी or the coconut water cost us? 50 rupees. And how much does it cost us? 100 rupees maybe. But since because the packaging is done in such a way that it is able to command a higher price, that's where we have to focus upon. Our packaging should be as such that we can command a higher price for the same thing. And that's the reason Big Four are able to charge 2.5 lakh rupee for a GST advisory, and we are just charging 25,000 for the same services. Because their packaging is done in a particular way. अब ये छोटा और एक एग्जाम्पल, पानी पूरी कितने लोगों ने खाया है कभी भी? पानी पूरी सबने खाया है. अब रोड पे जो पानी पूरी खाते हैं वो कितना, क्या अमाउंट का होता है? 30 रुपीज, 50 रुपीज मैक्सिमम, 20 रुपीज. Correct. Now again, this is what do we call it as? Pani puri shorts. Now tell me, when you go to a restaurant and when you have this pani puri shorts, your mind says that I'm not going there to have pani puri. What does your mind says? That I'm trying to have a new experience in my life, and that is the creativity you are gonna experience in your life. And that is the reason जब आप कोई मॉल में जाते हो या कोई होटल में जाते हो और ये पानी पूरी शॉर्ट के अगर आप 200-250 रुपये दे रहे हो, you are spending 200 rupees or 250 bucks, your pocket does not pinch you. Correct? वो एक साइकोलॉजी वहाँ पे पिंच नहीं करती कि मैं 250 रुपये क्यों दूँ, जब मैं वही पानी पूरी अगर जाके 25 रुपये में खा सकता हूँ तो मैं उसका 250 रुपया क्यों दूँ. ये कभी भी आपके दिमाग में नहीं आता है. द रीजन वाई इट डज नॉट कम टू योर माइंड इज दैट देयर यू आर गोइंग बिकॉज you gonna have a different experience and a creativity is involved over there. Your mind does not say that you are going to have a pani puri. Your mind says that you gonna have pani puri shorts. Look at the positioning, look at the packaging, look at the branding. That's what we want to learn as a chartered accountants, that the same thing, same ingredient, and I can tell you with 100% conviction कि जो पानी पूरी हमने जो रोड पे खाई है वो उससे 10 गुना बेटर है इसके कंपैरिजन में. करेक्ट. बट स्टिल वी आर रेडी टू पे 250 रुपीज फॉर द सेम थिंग. नाउ implement the entire process into your business, into your services, what you are giving to your client, and just see that even your client would be happy to pay you 2,50,000 for GST advisory services rather than restricting yourself to 25,000 rupees. सेम एक एग्जाम्पल दिया है. अब जब हमने टेक्नोलॉजी की बात की है, आई वुड रिक्वेस्ट एवरीवन टू जस्ट ओपन योर फोन एंड जस्ट सी हाउ टेक्नोलॉजी कैन बी लेवरेज. Now that's how you make the maximum use of the technology. When I thought of penning it down, this particular QR code over here, I thought that how can I connect all the audience, lovely audience sitting over here and trying to listen me on this particular topic. How do I connect with them, because they are like-minded people, and that's how you can explore the technology. अब इसमें QR code मुझे बनाने की, I had no knowledge of technology. There was an option for me कि मुझे टेक्नोलॉजी नहीं आता तो ये स्लाइड डालने की जरूरत ही नहीं थी. But I took help of my friend who knows technology, and I could deliver. I could ensure that my work is done. That's where a chartered accountant role is. He should ensure that the work of a client is done, and he can engage a particular professional to ensure that the work is done. That's it from my side. Thank you so much for hearing me out. Any questions from the audience? Would like to answer them. Done? Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir. That was amazing. So, can we have a huge round of applause? Awesome. Now I would request CA Ishwar Kumar Ramji Bhai Jivani to present the to give the vote of thanks.
Dignitaries on the dais, CA Ankit Bhai Rathi, who is my council colleague, Mudit Bhai Bansali, our today's speaker, CA Surbi, who is MOC, and my dear friends, a very good afternoon to all of you. It gives me an immense pleasure to propose a formal vote of thanks. To sum up, there are 5 to 10 things which Sir has told. First is sole proprietor versus partnership. Second is private jet versus common plane. Then is new skill sets which are required. Then services which can be offered at various stages, that is ideation, validation, early stage and scale. Then to become a strategic advisor, then disruptive thinking, and last but not the least, vitamin C. To to add something to what sir has told, one thing we can do is co-partnering, which is not the concept in our regime, but we can come up with a co-partnership wherein individually we can practice, but we can collaborate for that. With this I conclude. Thank you all.
I request Sir to present the memento to Mudit Sir. Come on, everyone! A huge round of applause. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here and being a lovely audience. We are going to meet again for the next session. All of you to be seated for the next session. We are going to start with it very soon. Everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. I, Surbhi Gandhi, welcome all of you for the next session. So the next session is going to be very interesting. The topic for the session is grow your practice with startups. I am sure that most of us want to multitask. We want to do a lot of things together. And this session, Sir is going to teach us how we can manage practice with startups. So, firstly, before starting, I would request CA Rudesh Panakia sir for the opening remarks.
Good afternoon, everyone. I think it's sheer pleasure to welcoming all of you at this great event of Startup Sphere. And I think we're going to have this amazing session of how do we grow our practice with startup, for which we have our learned speaker, C. Alok Pansari ji. Can we have a huge round of applause for Alok Pansari ji? And looking forward to listening to him and listening with all of you. Thank you so much.
I request Rudesh sir to come and take your seats. Now, I would like to welcome our speaker, CA Alok Pansari sir, to come and take your seat. Okay. Now, I would like to request CA Ankit Agarwal sir to come and take your seat. Alok Pansari is a seasoned chartered accountant with over 3 decades of professional experience. He serves as the senior partner of ASL and Company, previously known as Chaudhary and Pansari, a well-established Mumbai-based CA firm providing a wide range of professional services to clients across industries. With a rich history spanning over 40 years, ASL and Company caters to diverse clients including family-managed business groups, PSU banks, insurance companies, and multinational corporations engaged in manufacturing and trading activities. The firm boasts a modern infrastructure located in the heart of Mumbai with a dedicated team of over 100 professionals. Mr. Alok Pansari specializes in various areas such as business structuring, transaction structuring, domestic and cross border, finance structuring, merger and acquisition, project advisory, project funding, enterprise, valuation, inbound and outbound investment advisory, business takeovers, and mentoring startups. Apart from his professional endeavors, Mr. Alok Pansari plays an integral role in his family business activities, which encompasses e-retailing, e-commerce, offline and online product distribution, and private labeling in FMCG products. Their e-retailing operation encompasses an extensive range of more than 40,000 product line items across multiple categories. He is actively involved in professional and social spheres. Mr. Alok Pansari sir participates in seminars and conferences organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India as a core team member. He also engages in various social service activities and holds a position in esteemed trusts and committees. With a huge round of applause, I would like everyone to welcome Sir. So the topic for today's session is grow your practice with startup. I request Alok sir to come on stage and present his words of wisdom.
Thank you, Survi, for your kind words. I don't know. Actually, I was amazed knowing more about myself through your description. Anyway, thank you very much. See, Mudit has made my job very easy. Thank you, Mudit. Now, coming to the topic given to me, grow your practice with startup. See, I will simply change the order of the words in my presentation. I will change the order of the words. I'll start with your practice first. Now, how many of you are in practice? I mean, I see very few, but how many of you are in practice? Because see what happens. A typical CA practice. What happens? What are the conventional practice areas? Audit and assurance services, compliance services. Compliance services typically direct tax, indirect tax, GST, custom, SEBI, LODR, RBI, NBFC, other business laws like FEMA, RERA. Now, conventional practices in some cases, what they do, they also give advisory services. But then those advisory services are not very kind of structured. They are more of need based. Client asks some advice for specific problem, and the conventional practice firms or practice unit gives the advice on those specific items only. Then many times what happens, the client needs expert advice, external professionals advice. Now they need interface, somebody who can interpret the advice of the experts and the client can understand. So that is another advisory services which normally a conventional practice unit provides. Then litigation practice. Again, a very, very small component of the practice area for most of the practice units. That mostly happens in revenue matters like income tax. Most of the practitioners, CA practitioners, they are involved more in income tax litigation. Now, they are not allowed to appear in the court, so up to tribunal. Many of the CA practice firms, they represent the client in the tribunals. Now the second part of the title which I said, now that let us change the order. So your practice is typically conventional practice areas. The second part is growth. How do you grow? What are the normal growth drivers? Growth can happen in many ways. The existing client can grow. With their growth, you also grow. Their higher business volumes, so your work goes up, more revenue. That is a conventional way to grow. But that growth is not within your control. Second is business scale up and restructuring. The existing client, they move up the ladder from proprietary concern to partnership firm, from partnership firm to private limited, from limited private limited to limited, from limited company to listed company. So their requirement, their needs goes up. Again, in conventional area, your value goes up and you grow. Another growth driver in conventional practice is expansion and diversification by the client. Now, this also is controlled more by the client, not by the practitioner. Then, expanded scope of the services. The client starts with your services in audit and assurance services. Then they slowly give you taxation work, indirect taxation work. So, that is another way. Another important growth driver is new clients. Now, I will ask you, I'll request you to keep back this concept new clients. We'll come back to it later on. Second is new practice areas. Now, these two parts are very relevant for the topic grow your practice with startup. So, keep these two items in your mind. We'll come to these items later on. Now, your practice, growth, and startup. Now, what are the startups? As Mudit pointed out, see, there are a lot of myths and misgivings about the concept startup. When we talk of startup, the immediate picture which comes to mind is some tech-savvy entity providing tech-enabled services. Now, most of the times when I ask you, what is your idea of startup? Can you share with me what is your idea of startup? Anybody? What is your idea of startup? What can be? What can be a startup? What exactly? See, what we have seen is that in the startup sphere, most of the unicorns or the grown-up startups, the visibility is more on the service providers. But that is not the fact. The greater space in startup sphere is occupied by the product startups. See, in a layman's language, startup is what? A new entity, a new enterprise. And that new enterprise, new entity, new activity is centered around a new idea. Now, the idea can be anything. Even in product, it can be a new idea, new processes, new way of doing the same production, same product, same manufacturing in a better and more efficient way. So the startup idea can be around anything, and it need not be only on services. So I'll give two very prominent example of product-based startups which are very successful. One is Hela, which is Mumbai-based company. What they are doing, they are kind of a shopping mall departmental store for infrastructure industry. What they do, anything and everything you need for infrastructure project, you need equipment, you need labor, you need high-end equipment which are very expensive. They are available with them. You need raw material for your infra project, they have the supplies available to you anywhere in the country. You name it, cement, steel, RC, ready mix, RMC, ready mix concrete, or you need high end equipment like earth moving, JCB and all. They have with them. So, but they are not they are not service startups. They are product startups built around an idea of providing solution to the infrastructure industry. Infrastructure industry is very capital heavy industry, and they cannot afford everything to invest in everything, each and everything. See, some of the equipment cost 5 crore, 10 crore, 50 crore rupees, and they are imported equipments which comes with the condition. So every infrastructure company cannot afford them. So Hela is one prominent example of product startup. Second example and successful one is Unicorn Jetwork. What are they doing? They actually have brought together the industrial suppliers and the buyers. Again, what they are doing, they have brought together the industrial supplier means you have a manufacturing entity, you have a product manufactured by your company, but you don't know how to approach the buyers. You cannot afford to spend on marketing or reaching out to the buyers across the world. That is where they step in. Jetwork is that. Then Jetwork is also doing other way around. They are providing you raw material also. You may not be able to source the raw material at the cheapest price. So they are providing that. So the second myth is that startup has to be around services. Need not be correct. It can be around the product also. Of course, service startups you have a lot of examples. Most of them are visible and known to everybody. Now, coming to the startup ecosystem, what happens? A typical promoter is what? I'm coming back to the conventional practice. A typical startup promoter can be either generation next of the existing business house, like they are already established, they have 1,000 crores of rupees turnover, they have already built up a good network. but their next generation doesn't want to get into the conventional business activity. I have seen many of my clients where they are well established for decades altogether, steel, textile, even spices, and they are successful. They have built a huge businesses, but their next generation is not at all interested in that. So what they do, they come to us, please advise us what can be the new business activities for our generation next. So that is where, as a practicing chartered accountant, I get an opportunity to grow ideation, helping their next generation in finding out new ideas and try and build a business empire around that idea. Second type of promoters of a startup is first generation entrepreneurs, youngsters, well educated, tech savvy, restless. The keyword is restless. And they are actually minefield of, they have huge creative mind, immensely, unbelievably creative mind. They keep on thinking of new ideas, even wacky ideas, but they need somebody who can streamline, channelize their thought process in a productive way, which can be monetized also, can be converted into a business activity. So that is where, as a practicing chartered accountant, we have a huge advantage, and that is going to help us in growing our own traditional practice. Now, what are the typical stages in startup ecosystem? First is conceptualization, as Mudit mentioned it, ideation. The technique. I'm not using the technical or conceptualization. The startup typically promoter thinks of an idea. That is the conceptualization stage. Now, that is where we can help them in focusing. If their focus is not properly done, then the idea may not be converted into a business enterprise. I have helped quite a few, half a dozen cases where they came to me for mentoring, and I redirected their focus. Their core capability was intact. Their idea, the basic idea was not changed at all, but I simply redirected their focus. And that helped them in actually converting their idea into a business idea. Now, the next stage, that is where you, as a practicing chartered accountant, can help them. And that can add to the growth of your conventional practice. Second part is in second stage in typical startup ecospace is business plan development. This is very crucial. As Mudit said, that we chartered accountants are very good at two things: understanding the business processes, number one, and number two, data analytics. Our those two capabilities will come in very handy in business plan development for the startup, because we have thorough understanding of the processes, and we can do the data analytics better than any other professional. So this is another area. At this stage, your existing practice unit can add or grow or additional area of practice. I mentioned there are two things: new services and new practice areas. This is another practice area which can add to your practicing unit. Now, typically, what business plan development involves: concept to reality. Now, there we don't have much role to play, because that is more of technical aspect which the idea promoter or the idea generator, he or she has to take care, because it's more of the technical aspect. The second part is business structure. That is where our capabilities comes in. Business structure, there are two aspects. One is legal structure, and second is financial structure and ownership structure. That is where we can help the startup entrepreneur in converting their idea into a workable business model. Business structure means, legal structure means it should be LLP, or it should be company, private limited company, limited company. What way it should be? Every entity, every legal structure has its own pros and cons that we understand. As practicing chartered accountants, we understand. But the startup entrepreneur or the promoter may not be aware of those things. So that is where we can help them and again add to our practice growth area. Then third, another stage is execution and implementation. There we don't have much of the role to play. Scaling up and funding. The ultimate target of any startup is or should be to scale up the business, because without scaling up, startup or any enterprise doesn't have any sense. Let me tell you very frankly, a very crucial aspect of startup ecospace is having a startup is like riding a tiger. Once you have once you have mounted on a tiger, you have to make sure that the tiger is continuously running. It You cannot allow it to stop. The moment it stops, you will be thrown off the balance and you'll be eaten away immediately. So that is the risk startup entrepreneur always carries, and they are well aware of that risk. So that is the reason scaling up is very important. Scaling up is very important. Now scaling up cannot happen without the funds. That is another area where, as a practicing chartered accountant, you can help a lot to the startup entrepreneur, because you understand inside out of the funding and the finance. Chartered accountant is the best placed professional in the world, because we have knowledge of both the things. We have the knowledge of the legal side as well regulatory side, as well as the financial side. We can analyze what are the implications, what are the pros and cons of different funding options available to the client. As Mudit says, he mentioned that there are different stages of funding. It can be pre-series or seed funding, then subsequent. There you can advise the startup client. Now this is the most crucial part, most of which I already covered through my earlier discussion. Help in the business plan development, help in business structuring, then conventional practice area which you are comfortable with, formation, registration. Then there are many government schemes which are available to startups. Your role can be to identify them, evaluate the benefits, make the client aware of those benefits. In case of funding, there are many ways where you can help the startup client. First and the foremost is pre-funding due diligence. Now, any investor coming on board would like to have a proper regulatory framework in place before they enter, whether it is investment of 10 lakhs or whether it is investment of 10 crore or it's 100 crore. At every stage, they would like to do the due diligence, and that is where your expertise as a practicing chartered accountant comes in help. Then there can be different types of instrument for funding. It can be vanilla equity, it can be vanilla debt, it can be convertible instrument like convertible preference share, compulsorily convertible preference share, optionally convertible preference, a hybrid instrument. There can be many options, but that is where you have to advise the client, and that is another opportunity available to you as a practicing unit. Now, once the funding has been tied up, then there is a stage of documentation. That is all. That is also a stage where your expertise as a practicing unit comes in handy. We chartered accountants are very conversant or very comfortable with the document handling. We can help them in documentation, and the crucial document. Two documents are very crucial for any funding exercise. One is the term sheet. Now we need to analyze each and every aspect of the term sheet, understand it and explain it to the startup, because most of the startups either they are the first generation entrepreneurs or generation next of the existing business houses. They don't have much awareness about those legalities which are captured in the term sheet. But then ultimately the term sheet may play a role in case of any dispute. Term sheet gets converted into shareholders agreement. That is also where your expertise comes in. Then post investment, post funding, not most of the investors, almost all the investors, or rather all the investors want to ensure that there is a proper corporate governance in place. You must have heard of very high profile cases of unicorn where corporate governance is creating a lot of problem. and the high profile celebrity promoter, he is now in problem or his family is in problem because of the corporate governance issues. Now, whether they are genuine issues or not is not our subject matter of discussion. Phone Pay, Ashnir Grover. So they are facing problem because of the corporate governance. Now, an efficient advisor, a practicing chartered accountant, had a great role to play there. Now, there are traditional practicing opportunities available in case of startup also. I will not go through that because everyone is aware of those. Now, this is very, very important. What are the challenges, typical challenges associated with the startups? See, most of the times, a startup being a first generation entrepreneur, or rather by nature, they are fixated or focused on their core activity. They don't want to pay much of the attention or devote or allocate resources to compliance and other activities. That can be a challenge for the practicing unit because the focus of the promoter is more on the core activity. So you may have to try and convince them that this is in their interest. Second aspect is that they are most of them are lean and mean organization. Very, very lean and mean organization. Very few people, and most of them are devoted more towards their activity. So they don't have much of the bandwidth as far as the execution of their back office or compliances are concerned. And now, my this presentation was prepared by one of my assistants who is more involved into conventional practice. So this is where my conventional practice stops. Now I come to my the original ideas of how a practicing chartered accountant can really grow, really grow. There are two major areas. One is structuring. Structuring can be many. The business structuring, as I mentioned, legal structuring and ownership structuring, and the second is financial structuring. That is more of the instrument. Second part is the funding, where the funding valuation is very, very crucial and important. The chartered accountant can drive and derive maximum valuation for the startup because they are the best placed and they are the best equipped to really discover the value of their idea. And that is where you can add more value to the startup. Second part is new services. How you can add more services, new services to your practice unit. One is strategic advisor, as Budit pointed out. See, chartered accountants always position themselves only as compliance facilitator. They never position themselves as a facilitator or strategic advisor. But they have the capabilities which are never used. They are never utilized. In case of compliance practice, the problem is that we chartered accountants ourselves are problem. For every 10 assignment of compliances, there are at least 200 chartered accountants, practicing chartered accountants available. Now, many of the conventional practice areas have already been converted into SaaS solution, SaaS solution. I'll give you an example, live example. Now, I don't know how much you charge for incorporation of a company. Vinodji, any 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. There is a portal available which is incorporating a company for just $1,000. Now, how can you compete with them? You can't. Either you compromise on quality, you cannot bring down your cost to that level. But what they have done, they are playing on the volumes. They have created a front end, asking the client to come on board, give the information in a structured manner, and voila, you have your company incorporated. So naturally, as a client, what would you prefer? A chartered accountant or a service provider giving you the same service for $1,000, or somebody charging you 15,000, 20,000, 25,000? So in conventional practice, this is one problem. Another problem is they are fixated on the compliances. In my experience of 35 years of professional practice, let me share with you. Whenever somebody comes to me for interview, the first question they ask me, sir, will I be placed in taxation department or not? I mean, see the perception for the next generation is like that only. Tax practice is the most lucrative practice for a chartered accountant. Once they qualify, what happens? First, they will say no, we are not interested in practice. If they want to get into practice, what they prefer? Tax practice. Now, after the onset of GST, the introduction of GST, what is their second preference, or rather equal preference, is GST practice. So somehow we chartered accountants are fixated, too much focused on compliances. And in the process, what happens? We have brought down ourselves to such a level. All the compliances are deadline based. Most of the clients will wait till the last hour. And then we are toiling. And the fee is pittance. And then we represent to the government authorities, please extend the deadline. Why? Why should we? Why should you, as a service provider, plead on behalf of the client? When the deadlines are announced in advance, why don't they start working earlier? Because you have made them. You have cultivated their habit like that. Then you need to position yourself as a strategic advisor. Now, strategic advisor doesn't mean only taxation, only GST, only company law matters. Strategic advisor means how you help your client in growing up their own business. See, one thing is very clear. Once the client is convinced and they need you for their business reasons, then you will automatically grow with the client. No one really minds paying you extra for good money, good advice. No one really would like to pinch on your bills if your advice is worthy. See, I have saved crores of rupees for my clients, so I always say to them that I have already made money for you. So my cost to you is zero. I'm making money for you. So they don't mind paying me any money. That is not the problem. Started ecosystem gives you that opportunity to position yourself as a strategic advisor. Now, typically a startup is promoted by the first generation entrepreneur or a next generation entrepreneur. They are blank slate. They don't have any preconceived notion about a chartered accountant or about their fee level or anything. But they are very possessive of their idea. So you need to develop their confidence in you and your capabilities. Once that comfort level is there, trust me, they will never leave you even after they have become unicorn. Because your role starts right from the beginning. As I mentioned earlier, during my mentorship, my experience as a mentor, at least in half a dozen cases, I have refocused their energy, refocused their strategies. Idea remained the same, but refocused them. And now they are very happy and thankful to me that, yes, now they are channelized. In one case, the startup ideator came to me. He was more into an activity of polls, online polls, opinion polls. He had the capability, in-house capabilities of data analytics. So I refocused his energies. I said that you utilize your data analytics capabilities towards predictive data analytics, which can be used by a business. Since my family is in e-commerce activities, so we are always in lookout of how much will be the demand 6 months down the line, 1 year down the line. So if based on the past data, if somebody can tell me the demand forecast, predictive analysis, that is quite helpful to me. So now that person, that startup entrepreneur is working on that, and probably within 6 months, we will be going to pre-series or seeding round, and the size is respectable. So my sincere advice to all you, all friends who are in practice, please reposition yourself. Don't focus too much on the compliances. Compliances, the growth is not controlled by you. Your growth is not controlled by you. It is controlled by the client. It is dependent on the growth of the client, and nothing is within your control. And then you will have to toil at the 11th hour. Will be will have to be satisfied with the pittance they pay, and keep on grumbling. Thank you.
That was amazing. Can we have a huge round of applause? Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Now, I would request Ankit sir to present the vote of thanks and give the memento.
Hello, good afternoon. Friends, it's really a privilege to give vote of thanks to today's speaker, C. Alok Pansari ji. Sir, you were restless. You have opened our eyes and our minds in this open session and guided us for the new avenue of practice. Sir, you have enriched and enlightened us with your knowledge sharing. Thank you very much, sir, for your precious time. We look forward for your support and your guidance in the future endeavors. Thank you, sir.
I request sir to present the memento to Alok sir. Come on, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Now, our next session is at 2:30. 2:30, and I hope to see.
I am Regional Council member from Northern Region. I welcome you all in this great flagship event of ICI of Startup Sphere. Before starting this program, I would like to invite our today's guest speaker, Chirag Tanaji. He is with us. I request Chirag ji please come on the dais and request all of you please have a big round of applause for Chirag ji. I request my teammate kindly provide a living plant. I request my colleague C. A. Rajiv Gupta ji. He is Region Council member from Central Region. By giving a living plant, I welcome him. I always feel very happy whenever we welcome any guest by a living plant. It increases our passion towards the earth and somehow we give life to another plant. So this is a very unique initiative taken by the institute to giving the living plant in this kind of program to the speakers. It is a great initiative by all of us. And friends, before starting today's session, I would like to welcome you all in this session because you all have spared your valuable time to come here to discuss on this very important topic. Hope you are aware that what we are going to discuss in next 45 minutes to 1 hour around IPR, intellectual property rights. Hope all of you have little idea about this, but today we are going to discuss this in with respect to the startups, how it is important for the startup. Practically, truly speaking, many times I have found that there are n number of cases. Initially, we are not aware about this thing IPR, and later on, when we get notices about that we have started some business, and later on found that the similar kind of name, logo are used by the some other one. That time our business get impacted too much. You can understand some brand you have established from last 5 to 10 years and later on get the notice that this logo is used by someone else. So it becomes very difficult for all of us to identify and change the thing later on at that part basically. To understand its importance, to guide all of us how we can educate our client. Because friends, I feel many of us are also practicing chartered accountant. To guide our client is a primary duty of all of us, that how we can guide our clients that they should opt for the IPR, take a appropriate registration, whatever applicable on that. It might be your trademark registration, your copyrights, patent, etc. There are many things involved in that. Our respected speaker will discuss in detail about that. I'm not going into detail of that, but I request all of you kindly guide your clients so that they have the appropriate knowledge of startups or IPRs, and accordingly they can guide their clients. Before starting our today's session, we have our speaker, C.A. Chirag Tanaji, who is the founder, patent and trademark agent of INK ID, intellectual property right firm. If I talk about Mr. Chirag Tana, he is the founder of INK ID, a bouquet intellectual property right IPR firm operating in India and Singapore. With over 18 years of experience in the field, he is licensed as a practice IPR law in both countries. Throughout his career, he has handled various aspects of intellectual property, including patent application, responses to the office action, and representation of client in hearings at Patent and Trademark Office in India, Singapore, and the US. INK ID specializes in assisting startup in their IPR journey, providing guidance and support. Mr. Tana has also been involved in the patent litigation cases and has successfully developed and protected brand portfolio through trademarks. He has an extensive expertise in the substantive patent, trademark, copyright law, as well as procurement procedure and strategies. Moreover, he regularly impart knowledge on patent, trademark, copyright, and design law, including drafting, prosecution, and litigation through teaching engagement at NIPM, IIT Mumbai, and corporate training programs. So, friend, this is a brief profile of Chirag ji. So now I will not take your much time, directly inviting Chirag ji to discuss on this matter, that why, how, and when IPR is important for all of us. So please have a big round of for Chirag ji to start this session. Over to Chirag ji. So do you want to sit here comfortably? Yeah, so here. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Okay, I'll. Yeah, so I run this firm called Ink ID. We are based out of India and Singapore. Thank you for first having me. It's an honor and privilege to address at ICI. I have been doing this for 18 years now. Intellectual property rights. Ink ID is around 13 years old. But last 13 years, we have seen two life cycles of startups, especially. So we have been concentrating on startups right since 2010-11 before it became the buzzword. If you Google Ink ID's name or my name, you will see articles dating back to 2011 and 12 online. What IPR ke under, what all you can do on your own, when you need to do things on your own, and when you have to spend money before you come and talk to us. So I'll touch base on all of those things and the impact. So over the last 13 years, we have seen at least two life cycles of startups going from 0 to 100. And in that 0 to 100 story, so 0 to 100 means starting right when there are founder level, when there is very little money in the bank, but spend is always first, right? So IPR is also that kind of an R&D activity where your spend will precede your income. But the most important thing to remember is startups with intellectual property rights can do to big companies what big companies with money can do to startups, which means that protect your whatever you have created. And bullying, if big companies who have money can bully startups, similarly startups who have IPR protection, correctly enforceable intellectual property rights in their kitty, they can bully big startups also and make sure that their rights are not being infringed. That is where we play our game, right? So I will explain what is intellectual property rights. One of the most common things that we get asked कि IPR होता क्या है? People get confused between एक logo का patent दे दो या trademarks and copyright. So the correct terminologies must be used, at least as of now in 2023, when the government is doing so much and tooting the bandwagon of intellectual property rights and startups so much. We should be aware of at least the right terminologies and when to use them at the correct time. So intellectual property rights is an umbrella terminology which covers various verticals. So, but basically, what is intellectual property? It is an output of your intellect which gets converted into intangible assets by virtue of law, right? So, and there are many justifications, ethical, economical, empirical, because you have spent time, energy, effort, you have created something new. That creation can be in the field of science and domain, science and technology domain, or it can be in the field of creative domain, non-technical domain, but it is something that you have created. It can be as simple as a brand or a logo or a slogan or a poem or a drawing, or it can be something like WhatsApp, where technology is used for transmitting data. Everything that is a product of your mind can have some level of intellectual property rights, as long as it is original, as long as it is something new that the world has not seen, right? So just like normal property rights, what can you do with normal property rights? You can first buy them, first purchase them or build them. Once you have owned them, then you can sell them, license them, assign them. Same things are applicable to intellectual property rights. So one is a tangible property right, like a property. If you want to go and buy a property, you go and see what the size of that area is. The most important thing that you do in property rights is you go and see whether it is actually available to you for purchase or not, whether the seller is a bona fide seller or not. This is called title search. Same thing is applicable in intangible property rights of intellectual property rights. You first need to do a title search, like what you do in domain knowledge. Is it available for you legally to purchase or not? So whether it is whatever form of intellectual property right, that's the first thing that you do. Once you do that, you follow the procedure laid down by the government to own that intellectual property right. Once you have owned it, just like normal property rights, you can sell them, assign them, license them, get money out of it, do whatever you want to do with it, right? So laws that are applicable to property rights, similar laws are applicable to intellectual property rights. Various verticals, the most four commonly practiced verticals under intellectual property rights are patents, trademarks, copyrights, designs. They are governed by 4 acts: Patent Act, Copyright Act, Trademark Act, Design Act. Uske beyond also there are something, but these are the most commonly seen verticals. So trademark matlab kya? You know, if there is a unique name, this is applicable whatever level of startup or a brand or a company that you are. The moment you create something new in terms of a brand name, which is your identity, trademarks become applicable. So Nespresso in this case is a trademark. The logo of Nespresso is a separate trademark. So 2 trademarks, word trademark and logo trademark. It is a uniquely invented name. You check whether it is available for you to own in India or wherever you want to practice, and then you can get a trademark around it. Second is designs. If you want to protect the shape of anything, the shape of a laptop, the shape of a glass, shape of a bottle, shape of anything you want to protect, you go and file a design application around it. The biggest war, Apple versus Samsung, started because of design patent infringement. There was no technology involved. What Apple did was made a rounded phone with no buttons, made a rectangular phone with rounded corners, no buttons, only touch interface and 1 button. That was the design patent they had. Technology, this was a completely different story, but Samsung, what they did was copied the same design. And the whole Samsung versus Apple story started because they infringed the tablet designs, they infringed mobile designs, and it went for 7 years right up till the Supreme Court level. And a lot of games were played. At the end, all that Samsung had to play was $385 million. But in the meanwhile, what happened in certain jurisdictions was Samsung was barred from selling their product for at least 1 generation, which means that Apple got an advantage of selling 1 generation, next generation products in countries like China and Australia, which is what then allowed Apple to become the first $1 trillion market cap company in the world. So very simple thing is designs, but can be very powerful as well. In India, largest number of designs that are filed is by Sabyasachi for the surface pattern. So even surface pattern of carpets, of materials can be protected by design applications. So for the saris that he makes, the largest number of design applications is filed by Sabyasachi every single year. Anything that is original and creative, whether if it's a poem, if it's a story that you have written, if it's a film that you have made, if it is a code that you have written, can go under Copyright Act. So here the artistic work that you see can be protected by Copyright Act. If you write a book tomorrow, we'll talk about copyrights, each one of this in detail. But artistic works, original artistic works can get protected under Copyright Act. The most difficult part to protect in any form of intellectual property right is patents. It is a completely different beast on its own, but only relates to science and technology. So if you have done something new and inventive, so I mean, what is inventive? We'll touch that. So if you have done something, if you have solved a technical problem in a manner that nobody in the entire world has solved, and you are getting an advantage which the entire world is seeing for the first time, then you must and you can file for a patent application. So, solution, problem, advantage. If these three things are there for your startup in the field of science and technology, patent application. So, in this case, the method of extracting coffee via this machine, what is the advantage that they are bringing? Ki pehle ke coffee machines were bulky, now it is smaller. You don't need coffee powder, cleanliness is not there, bacterial growth is not there because it comes in coffee pods, and you get a variety of coffees in a single clicking action. All those advantages are there, can get covered by the method of which the machine is made, which extracts coffee from coffee pods. So that can be patents around it. Similarly, if you take Kodak as an example, Kodak is a unique brand name. It has no, it is a uniquely invented work, so becomes a trademark. The camera body has to be of a specific design so that your fingers, the physical camera that you have to be, it has to be ergonomic in shape. So design applications for camera. The internal working parts of a camera, what should be the shutter speed, what is the frame rate at which it captures, how does it capture and give you enhanced output, is there software around it? All those things can become subject matter of unique patent applications. The film that it comes on can also become subject matter of unique patent applications, right? Similarly, here you can see TVS is trademark, the logo is trademark, no name is trademark. Science and technology, anything to do with engines, shock absorbers, exhaust, fuel, the manner in which fuel combustion happens. Wherever you see there is an improved advantage over and above anything that is there in the world of engines, internal combustion engines, can file for a patent application. The artwork, the manner in which this is depicted in a creative format is subject matter of a copyright. And the design of the entire bike or design of the seat or design of the handles, design of the mirrors, each one of these items can go in as design registrations, wherever shape is to be protected, right? So these are the four major verticals. So what do trademarks do? They protect a brand name or a business name or brand name under a business name. They come in two varieties, word and trade and logo. And I'll talk about them again much in later in detail. It can be owned by life as long as you remember to renew it for every 10 years. So every 10 years you must renew it. And the most biggest example of this is Burger King. Burger King's trademarks in India started in 1970 and they only came into India in 2010. But when they came into in 2010, they had continuous renewals every 10 years. They were not using the mark, but they are a global brand. People knew what Burger King was. There were many Burger Kings, fake Burger Kings who were selling different varieties. One was right here in Pune. They sent notices to all of them and managed to retain the brand and eliminate all those other brands out of the picture. So every 10 years you can renew it. It can be owned for life. Patents are a set of exclusive rights where you disclose your invention, the tech problem, solution, advantage, as I said, to the general public. How did you do it? That you must disclose to the general public. If you disclose that to the general public, then in return, the government gives you 20 years in return. Hard stop at 20 years. After 20 years, it goes into public domain. For most technologies, 20 years is okay, right? Because no technologies. But blockbuster drugs, which happen once in a lifetime, for them 20 years is short. And then that is the whole USA versus India battle, where generic drugs, how did India become the generic superpower of this thing? So there is a section in law which allows us to become a generic superpower legally, and the US has a law which allows their pharmaceutical lobbies to exploit their patent act, which is illegal, but so we'll again talk about that later. Copyright is interesting because copyright lasts for generations. So copyright lasts for life of an author plus 60 years. And that plus 60 years is very, very important because India is the country that played a crucial role in taking it from life of an author and it added 60 years. It was life of an author first, then it became life of an author plus 20 years. And Shantiniketan wanted to protect Rabindranath Tagore's works for a long, long time. So they lobbied at the world level. So just like there is World Trade Organization, there is World Health Organization, there is also a World Intellectual Property Organization which governs all the intellectual property right offices of the world. So India lobbied hard and fast and said that, it has to be much more. So then now the whole world follows life of an author plus 60 years, which means that your second and third generation, all the Bollywood songs that were written maybe in the 60s and 70s, if they are reused in films even today, most of the rights are with Saregama and T-Series. there is a mechanism where money will go from the person who is reproducing the song or reusing or remixing the song. It will go to a copyright society. Copyright society has licenses from Saregama and T Series, and from them it will given to the respective persons who created that song. So it can be two people like Gulzar who have written the lyrics, and people like composers who have composed the music. So it is properly defined. After 2010, the Gulzars of India have taken efforts that part is also properly formalized. So money is properly dished out to the correct recipients, to the correct copyright owners. Designs again is straightforward. It is 10 years. You can buy 5 more years. It's a long life, 10 years for design applications. And then there are some more like geographical indications, very critical for a country like India. So things like Kulu shawl, things like Tirupati Laddu, where a particular section of people came together and protected and made regional products, and the name of that place in association with that product became famous. So Paithani, Kolhapuri Chappal, all these are geographical indications. It speak volumes about the tradition of that country. So what does that mean? It means that you can tomorrow make a Paithani in China, and China actually did that. And you can sell it also legally, but you cannot call it Paithani. You can make Kolhapuri Chappal anywhere in the world and sell it, but you cannot call it Kolhapuri Chappal unless you are from that organization of people who have petitioned the government to give them exclusive right towards that geographical indication. Lonavala Chikki, also a geographical indication. So that is increasing like crazy right now. And then these other things, plant variety. I am hoping that plant variety is the next big thing in an agrarian economy like India. It's still yet to pick off. And semiconductor layout, still nothing much in India. All this we will. So if we talk about the most basic form of intellectual property, where no science and technology is involved and it is applicable to any startup, any company, any new business, the bare minimum of intellectual property right that you own is trademarks. So I think as CAs, you must be getting a lot of inquiries. Ki naya company chalu karna hai. What is the first thing that you do? Everybody, even now, does two things. First, goes and talks to a CS ki available for purchase hai ki nahi dekho ROC mein, and goes and checks a domain name or social media se. But that is not ownership of the brand. Then the third step, they come and talk to us ki iska trademark humko chahiye, we have this and this. It should be completely the other way around. Trademarks are the only way to own a brand. No ROC, no website domain, no Facebook handle, no social media handle is going to give you ownership of that brand. When you are starting a new company, a new product, or a new business, the first thing that you must do is go and check the trademark register website. And it is freely available for use. If you know how to use it, I'll show you a slide of how to use it. That's the first thing. Then go and talk to your CA or your CS, and then go and check the social media handles and the website handles, not the other way around. So many people to come to us too late. They have married the brand already. It's so much embedded in their end, and we cannot. I mean, we politely decline. We cannot, but we cannot. If you cannot, you cannot. Trademarks. Trademarks are the ultimate way to own a brand, right? And the value of trademarks, like if I generally ask this, what is this? People generally say this is a band-aid, but band-aid is a trademark. It is a bandage, that is its generic name. But things have become so popular that by default we go to a pharmaceutical store and say ki band-aid de do. Whatever brand is it does not matter. But band-aid is a trademark. This almost always known as bubble wrap. But bubble wrap is a trademark. Bubble wrap is not its generic name. Its common noun is inflatable cushioning. Bubble wrap is the trademark of a company which popularized it. Jacuzzi, again, not a common noun, not a generic name. It is a hot tub. Jacuzzi is one brand which popularized it, but by default we call it Jacuzzi. Kawasaki made this. This is a personal hovercraft, but it's popularly known as jet ski. But we popularly call it jet ski. Jet ski is again a trademark, not a common noun, not a generic name. So on and so forth. Like Kachwa Chap for India had become synonymous with tortoise coils, whether it is Mortine Kachwa Chap or whatever. But Kachwa Chap tortoise was a brand name popularized by a specific company. So that is the power that a brand can bring. What does a brand do? It brings recall value, it advertises the product, and it brings goodwill around it. It guarantees the performance of a product. So right from, think of your morning routine. You get up in the morning, The first thing is you go and brush your teeth. There is a specific brand for a toothpaste that you want to use. There is a specific brand of a toothbrush that you want to use. There is a specific brand of a soap that you use, a shampoo that you use, and you do not deviate from it unless somebody else recommends you something for a specific purpose. Right from coffee to the car you drive, everything has a brand value associated with you, whether you like it or not. The moment you deviate from it, something shifts. So that is the power of a brand that a brand brings to the table. So brand values are far more valuable than the physical assets of a company. So Apple's brand value, this is a 2020 Forbes list, is 206 billion. They probably do not have assets, physical assets worth 206 billion. But the brand value is far more than its physical assets. Take any of these things. But each of these things come with a certain, I told you, it comes with a certain amount of goodwill. It comes with a certain amount of assurance. So whenever you hear of a Toyota car, the assurance is that ki at least 3 lakh kilometers chalega without anything. You heard of a Maruti brand, you know कि उसका spare parts in and across, whether it's Assam or Kerala or Karnataka or to Jammu, उसका spare parts we will get left, right, center. That is what they bring to the table. If you want a luxury car, it will always be a German car. If you want Apple, they are known for their data security and privacy and lack of, you will be assured that you don't need an antivirus. It is impregnable to viruses. Amazon, assurance of delivery in 2 to 3 days. Everything has something more than what you see. So that is the power of a brand, which must be protected. And the only way to protect it is by way of trademarks. So all this I already covered. What can you protect? You can protect a name or a logo, and these are various examples of trademarks. Beyond this, there are green mein whatever you see are non-unique marks. So you can also protect smells, you can also protect sounds, you can also protect corporate names, you can also protect pictures, and these are examples of real law case laws that have happened at the Bombay High Court, where signatures are protected, where packaging can also be protected as trademarks. So Fevikwik ka case tha, where numbers, Hayward's 5000, Hayward's 2000, beer, protected as way of trademarks. Shape, although I told you shape is a form of designs, but shape, packaging of something can also go as trademarks. So all these are real life Bombay High Court examples where items have been protected and successfully enforced, and the infringing parties have been have been stopped from making duplicate products via these trademarks. Okay. So basic test of trademarks kya hona chahiye? Ki it should be a newly invented word. It should not describe your business. So tomorrow if you are making salty biscuits, you can call them Monaco, good. If you start calling them salty biscuits, you can do your business, no problem. You can make crores, billions, whatever out of it. But you will not get exclusive right to use that business. Because trademarks give you two rights. Any form of intellectual property rights basically is the right to prevent others from using what you have created. So here the government will not give you that right. If you have salty biscuits as your name, the government will not give you an exclusivity of giving you salty biscuits. You create something new like Kodak, like Nespresso, like my firm's name, Ink ID, unique name. You can, if I call myself Good Legal Services or IPR Intellectual Property Services, I can continue my business, no problem at all, but I will not get exclusivity. If tomorrow somebody starts that same business in the same name, even beside in my building, forget in some other part, I will not be able to stop that person. So trademarks have to be uniquely invented works. Those are the best kind of trademarks. India is currently the second highest filer of trademarks in the entire world when compared to China. In terms of filings, we have ramped up in terms of processing also. We are now almost the fastest in the world, even not considering the volume that we file. So very effective, very straightforward, as long as you have a unique name. That's the most important aspect of it. Something like dictionary words can also be owned, like Apple. But Apple is not selling fruits. If Apple was selling fruits, they would not get a trademark. Apple is selling electronics, so there is a distinction, and they have a wide coverage, so that is why you can get a trademark. When do you file a trademark? Is when there is a new business or a new brand under a new business, right? And then there are common misconceptions, like you did not wait to start your business. In patents and designs, you cannot start selling your product before you go and file first. If you don't file first and go to market first, then you lose those rights. In trademarks and copyrights, that is not the case. You can start your business, you can wait and see how the market is responding, and then go and own with that evidence of use. It's like wine. The more it matures, the better it gets. The more people know you, the better the trademark gets. Right? And the test, again, see, it has to be new. The test is also a phonetic similarity. The test of that the code says ki, are you causing confusion in the market? So you cannot just, if you have a company called SHOPY, which is a e-commerce company, Shopee, and you tell me कि नहीं मुझे मेरा SHOPY नहीं है, मेरा SHOPPEE है, that is not a new trademark because you are causing confusion. If an illiterate person goes and searches, then also, or in some other language, it should be phonetically dissimilar from what is already there on the trademark register. If it is there in the world of commerce, it is still okay. That is your problem, not the trademark register's problem. But trademark registry has a database which is freely accessible for anybody and everybody. If it is there on that register, a phonetically similar mark will not be given to you because then you are causing confusion. You are taking somebody else's goodwill and using it as your own, right? So there were many case laws which defined, although it looks trademarks is the most simple, but Har ek ka there is still a different angle. Like Infosys being Infosys, again, so each of these intellectual property rights, except copyrights, is territorial in nature. Matlab, if you file for a trademark in India, it is only valid in India. If you file for a patent in Singapore, it is only valid in Singapore. What does it mean for a startup or any company? It means that you need to have a game plan in place. You will obviously start with India because we are all in India right now. But you need to have a 6-month game plan. 6-month game plan, are you going to go abroad? You need to have a 12-month game plan because every filing has a spend cost associated with it and a 2-3 year game plan. So, for example, like Infosys, with however big Infosys does not have a trademark in France because somebody was already using it. Hakoba, one of that two brothers, Hakubai and Babubai, they had a shop here in Mumbai. They came out with their print, and their print became so common that it is now called as Hakoba print. When they decided to go to the US, they decided too late. Somebody in New Jersey was already selling Hakoba prints with a shop of Hakoba. They spent crores of rupees getting the brand back for them, but that guy was legitimately there before him, so they could not stop him. Something like Parle-G. Parle-G is the world's most penetrated brand in the entire world. When Parle-G was, I think in Australia, they had given distribution rights to a lady. And so she had marketing rights and distribution rights. She applied for Parle-G without Parle-G's knowledge. And then Parle-G had to cut off their supply, wait for a period of 5 years, tell the trademark registry of Australia that, this lady is not using, nobody is using Parle-G in Australia for 5 years. No sales were being made. And then they spent millions of dollars doing this, then got the brand back. So all kinds of things happen. Hilton versus Hilton. Hilton was a resort in Mount Abu way before Hilton arrived in India. But when Hilton arrived in India, they told the court that, okay, we are Hiltons of the world. There cannot be a confusing name like Hilton here. But the court said, no, this is not how it is going to work. You may be the Hiltons of the world, but you were not here when Hilton was here. So you will not have, you will have exclusive rights, but Hilton, this is called honest concurrent use. You will have exclusivity everywhere else, but Hilton will still remain Hilton. And they told Hilton also that you will not open other branches now across country. You will have one Hilton, that is it. So all these kinds of things also come into play, although it looks very straightforward and very linear. When it comes to enforcement, a lot of things happen. But the test is this: if you are inventing a brand, do not even venture around a confusingly similar brand. If we are telling you something, please listen to it. Okay? Don't go beyond it. Have a clean, clear brand. Don't spend money. Don't go to courts. Okay. And the filing is straightforward. You search, you file, then the trademark registry examines it, then they publish it, then they wait to see if somebody else is opposing it or not. If everything is good, then certificate comes into play. And then once the certificate is done, you are almost as good, because then it becomes very, very difficult for somebody else to challenge also. Right? Yeah. I think it was on.
Hello. So for trademark, if I understood it correctly, if it is in use, if the name is in use, it is better chances of getting approved. I have had an instance where my client was a startup and they were in discussion phase and launching phase, and somebody else went and registered it in their name. So, isn't it always safe to rather register it first and then use it?
So in India, I think in India there are two. Okay, I'll repeat the question. What she was asking was whether it is better to have evidence of use and then register, or whether to register and then. That's the call. So that's. I'll explain how the system works in India. In India, we have a system called as proposed to be used. If you go to US, proposed to be used marks can never be registered. You have to show evidence of use to get registration, and that is very good actually. That's the way it should go, so that you don't squat on a trademark. But what happens? So in India has two things. You either have a proposed to be used basis, and then you start with your best, which is good, because then if it's proposed to be used, you have owned the mark, and it's very it's inexpensive also, right? So you get on with other aspects of your life. We have parked one thing aside, and the second thing is evidence of use. So many people come to us where the mark is tricky. We think that it has a 50-50 chance of getting through. So then what we tell them is start using the mark, see how it fares. Go to 10 states, 2 states, 3 states. Prepare evidence. Evidence matlab to show that you are spending on the mark or the mark is making you money. Two things only. If you are able to do that, then, and if it is substantial, so 2-3 years, then the trademark registry will consider it. So even if there is some similarity with something else, they will give you priority over that mark. So that is always a judgment call based on experience that you take. So that is.
India always has this fear of somebody, you've generally spoken to about your
So
idea.
in
and
that case,
go
proposed to
and
be
register.
used. The moment you think you like a mark, go and it is hardly. I mean, I'll tell you costs. Okay, trademark registry will take 4,500 rupees. If you come to somebody like us, we charge 7,500 rupees over and top of it. We take care of the entire process. No hidden cost. Everything is included. So 10,000, 11,000 rupees for a brand. It's hardly anything, and it is for life. So if you really like, that is the way to go. If you are not sure, if we tell you, okay, कि search report में ऐसे ऐसे है, these are the problems that we see, then we'll tell you, start using the mark, and 1 year later, then come and show us कि there is evidence, and then we will submit that with that evidence of use.
One more question.
Yeah.
With businesses going so digital, I'm not talking about the Apples and Samsungs. We are still selling a product.
Yeah.
There is so much digital products now, in the sense digital content, digital stuff. Now, even if I register it in India,
Yeah,
it's
that is
available.
that is why that game plan. So like, see how apps work. If today you submit an app to Apple, they will ask you countries.
Okay.
So if you don't tell them Singapore, they will not activate that app for you in Singapore. But if you have that game plan in place, 6 months later I am going to go to US, then you put that cost also in place. You do the India filing, wait for 3 months, 6 months, then file it in US.
So then you do the filings everywhere.
Yes. Wherever you seek a presence, you go on and capture it.
But then there is a possibility you might not get the same name everywhere.
Yeah, there is a
That's
possibility, but that's where the test of make a very unique name. Like if you tell me Ink ID, 100% I will tell you even today after 13 years also there is no mark
Who does
anywhere
that?
in
Do
the
you
world.
do that also? Do you do that?
No, we don't
also?
help in suggesting, but if you give us a laundry list, we do searches for free. So we do okay, ye karo, nahi karo. So all that judgment and experience comes in. So, but
Thank
most this thing. So I'll show you that databases also where you can search. So once you have applied for a mark, it is TM. Once it gets registered, you can use R legally. Only if you want it. It's not compulsory. If it looks good, you can use it next to your trademark. Word and logo, and then per class. This is also very important. Again, in today's day and age, very, very important. Depending on the nature of goods that you are selling or services that you are selling, you apply in a particular class. So the whole world has agreed to something called as a classification, NICE classification, NICE. All businesses in the world are divided into 45 classes. These are the 45 classes. Depending on what you want to do, you apply in a specific class, which means that if I am a legal service provider, IPR service provider, I will apply under class 45, personal. And this is just indicative. There is a much more detailed list beyond it. If I am selling makeup and beauty, I will apply in class 3 and I won't apply anywhere else, which is fine. So if somebody wants to make cigarettes, articles under 34, which is fine, they can use my name and do it. So if somebody wants to make t-shirts with my Inc. ID name and I have just in class 45, it is fine. Unless you are the Ambanis or Adanis of the world or Tatas of the world, you want protection in all 45 classes. For the most part, you pick and choose. So if it's a software company, it won't be one class then. It will be class 9, which is software as a service. It will be class 40. So it will be class 42, which is software as a service. It will be class 9, which is downloadable mobile applications. It can be class 35 if you are selling e-commerce through that app. So sometimes it goes beyond classes. What does that mean is an implication on cost. If it is 3 classes, matlab 3 times the cost. If it is 2 times, matlab 2 times the cost. So the implication is only cost, but you need to select these as well, and you need to tell the trademark registry what you are doing with your shop. So if you are opening a grocery store, then and you are going to sell your branded products in the grocery store, then 29 becomes applicable, 30 becomes applicable, 31, 32, 33, all of them become applicable. If it is your own branded products as well. Then 35 also becomes applicable because 35 also covers retail stores and wholesale stores. So then it is not an option. Then you have to do 6 classes. So per mark, per class will always be the thing. Okay. This is just an example. What do you do when you have achieved everything like Apple? Then you go and fight with the court ki I want the whole store layout also to be trademarked. So something like a store layout also can be trademarked. And it has very limited use because nobody is going to copy this exact same layout of a store of an Apple store. Because once they did that, Microsoft also had their own version of a Genius Bar, which was their store out of a layer. So at that level, this also happens, right? And this is what the trademark registry's site will look like. If you search for Apple in a specific class, you have to search in a specific class. Then you will get information about everything. Ki kisne apply kiya hai, what time was it applied, what is the description, what is it valid up to. If it expired last year, that means that you can, it's a very good mark, but if maybe they didn't do business around it, so they have not renewed it. That means you can get a whole wealth of data here. That is how we suggest, and that is what I meant by experience comes in when we recommend this also. But this is a search that you can also do on your own before coming and talking to us to check. And usme there is a phonetic search also. It is inbuilt in the trademark registry database because I told you that likelihood of confusion nahi hona chahiye. Okay. Copyrights, I told you, we moved on to next part of the intellectual property rights. Copyrights and designs, they are pretty straightforward. But again effective. So anything original that you make, painting, artistic work, storybook, sound, musical notation, cinematographic work will go under Copyright Act. Can you own an idea? That's the main thing. Again, people ask us left, right, center. You cannot own an idea. If the idea is in the realm of science and technology, the enablement of that idea, matlab construction, logic, working in the realm of science and technology can be owned by a patent applications. If the idea is a creative idea, then expression of that idea on a medium is copyrights. So which means that, see, Harry Potter, if you have read Harry Potter, it is an idea. There is a young kid whose father and mother have died in the war. There is a villain, they fight, it goes across 7 chapters. There is a Hogwarts school. So it was an idea. The moment that idea was written down in a specific format, in a book format, that is one copyright. That same idea in a movie format made by Warner Brothers, but taken copyright from J.K. Rowling, is another copyright of that same idea. If I make a musical out of it, it is another copyright of that same idea. If I do a painting of Hogwarts, same idea, but another copyright. If my friend and I go and see a sunset together, we are both excellent painters, and we paint the same sunset at that point in time, brush to brush stroke it is same, color to color, everything is same. Still, my painting is my copyright and his painting is his copyright. So expression of that idea on a medium is one copyright. Copyrights are unique, I told you, because they are across the world. You did not file a copyright in multiple jurisdictions. One copyright in India is valid everywhere in the world. Copyrights are also unique because they are non-statutory, meaning even if you don't register it, if I live in a bedroom for 20 years, I write a song, I've never shown it to anybody, it is still my copyright. But the copyright mechanism exists so that for a judge, if you have to go stop somebody, if you have created a piece of music and somebody has copied it, if you have to go to court and show a judge, then you cannot tell him, I made this in my bedroom. What is the evidence? What is the date of evidence? That is where the copyright mechanism exists. Go and file it, get a certificate from the Copyright Office. That will be considered as valid proof of your creation of that idea. Right? So these are very important, because when filing a Copyright Office, you have to tell them what are you submitting. Are you submitting a literary work? Because fee structure is different. For like literary work is 500 rupees, cinematographic is 2000 rupees. Again, very straightforward. They have to check for originality, but there is no way to check for originality. So almost always it goes through. It's just that it's a little slow process. Right? Copyright, yeah.
A book can be copyrighted, but today content is available in so many forms. I may do a newspaper publication, I may do an app, I may do a YouTube
But it is
content.
literary work. It is literary work. So
I may do YouTube channels.
YouTube channel becomes cinematographic work. There 3D content comes in. The
Okay.
moment it is print, whether it is published on a newspaper or in a book or in a digital, it is still text. That is literary work. The moment you convert into an in a video format, their sound comes in, video comes in, animation comes in. That is another set of rights. Cinematographic rights are bundle of rights, because it is not. So copyrights always are associated with an author. And that author is very important. Whoever creates it automatically is the owner of that right. So in a cinematographic work, there is not one author. There is a person who is writing the script, the person who is writing, if there is music, writing the script of the music, giving the musical notations for that music, and the director who is bringing it all together. So there will at least be 4 copyrights in a cinematographic work. And you need NOCs from each one of them as to who is the author for what component.
And an app which has content can go under literary work.
If it is just text, then yes.
Then it
If
is.
you want to protect only the script, but then it is what are you submitting? Are you submitting a video file? If you are submitting a video file, then it is cinematographic work or a sound work. That is, if you are submitting written text, PDFs or printouts, then it is literary work. That is the
So the work is protected or the app is protected?
work.
Only
The
the
work is protected. Yeah. In what way it manifests is not protected in that case.
Because otherwise the book is protected, right?
But it's the work that is protected. Book is just the cover and the binding and the hard copy around it. No, finally it's the content inside the book that is protected. Right? So a lot of these things can be protected. This was a very interesting case. This was, I told you, right, Kabhi, ki copyright vests with the author. And author ka definition is what? In today's day and age, author ka definition across the world is a human. In this case, David Slater was one journalist who wanted to capture these chimpanzees. He set up 10-15 cameras, and before he could click, this guy came and clicked his own selfie. And this became very popular. People started using it in commercials, toothpaste ads, everywhere in US started making money. People started. So then he thought, this is my copyright. I should get money out of this. So he went to court and started suing those people who were using his image. And the court said, but you have not clicked. You may have done all the effort. You may have spent whatever, hundreds of thousands of dollars in setting up the equipment, going there to the jungles, whatever. But you didn't click. The final clicking action was this guy's. So it is his copyright. So it cannot be his copyright, because in law it has to be, so it is nobody's copyright. But the story did not end there. Then PETA intervened. PETA said, why? There is so much money at stake. Somebody has to get that money. PETA said, we are friends of this animal. That is our job. So we want money that will come out of this. And the court said, no, there is no such thing. This is copyright free image. Anybody can use it because an animal clicked it. And in today's law, we don't have anything that we can attribute to animals. So software. In the next thing, when I talk about patents, I'll start with softwares only then. So here. So if it is a code, then it goes under software. What else can be protected in software, I will cover after the designs part. Yeah.
Hi, sir. This is Krish here. So my question to you is, now you showed a photo of a monkey, right? So what if one of my, I have a pet doll with me, and my dog clicked the picture. So can I tell in the court that is my dog and I have the documentations with me? ऐसा नहीं कर सकते? All right, got it.
Even actually, see, let's say you have a wedding and a photographer comes and clicks your photo, it is the photographer's right to unless they have signed, even if it's a work for hire, unless they have assigned it to you, it is the photographer's right first.
So
Automatically.
in that case, if somebody else is writing the content on my website,
Yes, it is technically
if it's
there.
one of my
Yes.
employees or I've hired an author, so I need a waiver.
NOC, yes, you need an NOC technically.
Oh.
Yes. So, yeah. Design registrations, if you have to protect the shape, configuration, surface, pattern, I explained this again. All that you have to submit in the designs office is various views of a design. Yeah.
In case of, say, any product or development copyright or patent, suppose say I know few people, they had developed some patent working for IBM. Okay, so all that, though maybe author is this individual because some flow of the product they have written, but ownership lies with IBM. So can it be under the general employment contract they can write and just own that, or separately they have to
in
do
companies like
for
IBM,
each of that?
Google, it is a part of the general agreement.
Okay.
And they go to such an extent, like even Stanford, Harvard, or whatever, that whatever, even if it is in your off time, even if it is in your dream that you do during the course of employment, it is theirs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that day,
So not necessarily like for each product or each development you need to separately get the assignment done.
that is there because the patent office will ask separately.
Okay.
But they will not be able to challenge. Let's say you are IBM, you have employed an employee to do something in machine learning, but he does something in genetics that has got nothing to do with IBM.
Correct.
But technically it is still yours. So
Because
there
it
he
is
may argue,
within that
"Nahi,
period.
I will not sign this.
Employment period.
Employment period.
Yeah. Okay.
And there he can argue, "Okay, I will not sign this. This is not your domain. This is what I do in the part time." But that is where you force him to sign that document. It is compulsory for you to sign. Yeah. So designs are straightforward. These are just various examples. So even something like crisps, their shape can be protected by designs. Threading of a tire, dresses, all that can be protected on the design side. And they are routinely. These are live examples of what is protected. The most complicated thing in intellectual property rights is patents. The most expensive thing is patents. The most time-consuming thing is patents. The most arguable thing in intellectual property rights is patents. And that is something that is close to my heart. I have been writing patent applications since 17, 18 years now. In software, biomedical, these are again two things which are very close to my heart. This is what a patent document looks like. You need to know three things. Where does a patent lie? As long as you have solved one or more technical problems, you have one solution for it, and you have one advantage which the entire world has not seen. So you cannot say कि India में ये नहीं है, US में है, I want a patent in India. That logic does not work. Patent will be country-wise, but the test of patentability, whether it is eligible to get you a granted patent, is universal in nature. Because what do patents do is they are an advancement in science and technology. Science does not have geographical barriers. Courts have geographical barriers. So there is no such thing as science of India or science of Pakistan or science of China or science of Singapore. There is no such thing. Science is science. There is defined boundaries of science. By way of your experimentation and the challenges that you portray, you advance that realm of science. It becomes repeatable in nature. Matlab ki that same thing, even if you do in the southern hemisphere, that same thing will work in the northern hemisphere. The same thing will work across a variety of temperatures. Whatever changes, it will still work. As long as that is there, you can get a patent around it. So these three things, if they are there in the realm of science and technology, you get a patent around it. And why are they important? Because the world does not want to see you reinventing the wheel. Agar wheel invented hai, find out the problems with the wheel. The problems with the wheel was that there wasn't enough cushioning, so we put a rubber around it. The moment we put rubber around it, we put a tube inside it. The moment we put tube inside it, started getting punctures. Then we came to tubeless tires. So the technology should evolve. That is the point. Do not reinvent the wheel. And okay, this is all too technical. I will skip all of these things. Other thing can be asked, I told you, right? Ideas cannot be protected. So enablement of ideas, one way of how you have enabled that idea in the real world can be protected. So biggest example is flying. Flying was invented by Wright brothers, let's say, right? But birds were already flying before that. They did not own the concept of flying. They owned one way of how to fly on two counts. One is sustained flight over a long distance, and not just going from point A to point B. It was pointless. You needed to shift direction in space. That is called wing warping. The technique of wing warping is what they owned, which lasted for a long time. But one way of enablement of the idea of flying with the problems associated with flying that they solved, that they owned. So they had a patent in 1902, 1904 it got granted. Same thing with Uber, Ola, right? Fast forward to today. What does Uber, Ola do? What you would do on the road is just go on the road and shout taxi, rickshaw. Same thing now you do on an app. कि एक ऐप का सिग्नल है in a stationary signal, that is your signal. There are multiple moving signals. You cross those things, but you cannot own that idea. If Uber was able to own that idea, you would not have seen Lyft, you would not have seen Ola, you would not have seen Grab and Gojek. One way of implementing that idea, which is this one way, somebody can own. If there is another way, somebody else can own that other way. Right? What can you protect? Product and process, essentially. In softwares, essentially, I think that was the thing, right? If you have to protect so codes, what do they protect? I think you are asking about software. So codes protect one manifestation of that logic. But if the logic is only crucial, if the logic is an engine which solves a technical problem, so data transmission, let's say, you know how to do data transmission in a very fast manner, which the entire world has not seen. And the answer lies in the code. So, but the logic gets protected by patent. The code is just one way of representation. So code is very limited in its protection, right? I can end here because this is mainly the, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chirag ji, for a wonderful session. Before proceeding further, I would like to acknowledge the presence of CA Piyush Chandak ji, who is the Regional Council member from WRC, and Pinky Kedia ji, who is also Regional Council member from WRC. Thank you so much, Pinky ji and Piyush ji, for attending the session with us. Really, we are very happy to see your presence. Now, I request my council colleague CA Rajiv Gupta ji to give formal vote of thanks. Thereafter, we will give memento to Chirag ji. Over to Rajiv ji.
Thank you, Sangam ji. Good afternoon, everyone. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of the ICI, I am glad to be standing here to express my vote of thanks. A special thanks to our speaker, Mr. Chirag Dana ji, for being here today and energizing us to the important topics such as IPR. I write down some small, you can say, highlight of the sir presentation. So, in a short period of time, Mr. Chirag Dana ji explained very much, very knowledgeable point to us. One is the title searching is an important area. When we are searching a title, so sometimes there might be a area ki no found here, but data will be there. So in future problem we can sort if we are using a right title search pattern. And what is the difference between a trademark, copyright, patent? Sometimes we are mixing to all these words, and especially the patent is the area where the problem and solving 3-step and advantages as explained by our today's speaker. And a bad and good trademark, it is one of the important areas. Bad and good trademark, some examples are unique, just like Parle Ji case. And further they say what is the step of registration and validity of the period. So in a short period of time, they gave us the very knowledgeable session. I am once again thankful to Mr. Chirag Dana ji and our such an organization or our ICI of this platform, and give a chance to be in front of you. Thank you once again, sir. Thank you. Over to Sangam ji.
Thank you so much, Rajiv ji. Now I request my council colleague Piyush ji or Pinky ji also to come on the dais to give memento to our learned speaker Chirag ji to join us on the dais. I request my team to kindly come with the memento. तो मैक्सिमम तो कंफ्यूज जाते हैं इसके अंदर।
Request everyone जो भी पीछे बैठे everyone come ahead and आगे आ जाओ. So the next session is going to be pretty interesting because I am sure कि एक service जो हम every day use करते हैं and that is the laundry service. We all need it, right? So the next session it is going to be with Anshul Gupta sir. And before I start, I would like to request CA Piyush Tandak sir to come here and give the opening remarks. But before that, I request CA Piyush Tandak sir to come and take his seat. Yes, I would request sir come on the dais and take your seat. Yes. Next, I invite CA Anshul Gupta sir to please come and take your seat. Next, I would like to request CA Preeti Kedia ma'am to come on the dais. Pinky Kedia ma'am, I'm so sorry. Pinky Kedia ma'am. Can we have a huge round of applause for everyone? Come on, everyone, for everyone on the dais. I would request CA Piyush Chandak sir to come and give the opening remarks.
Very good afternoon, all of you. Good afternoon, all of you. Are you with me, please? Hello. Hi. Good afternoon. Yeah. The topic for discussion right now is transition for a financial professional to the startup journey. And I remember a quote, life is pleasant, death is peace. It is only the transition which is troublesome. और कहते हैं ना, the change is only constant, that is parivartanamev sthiram asti. So we are here to share and view the journey of a chartered accountant into a finance professional, startup founder, right? So I welcome CA Anshul Gupta ji for this. And I think without taking much time, I'll request Anshul Gupta ji to take the charge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to introduce our next speaker for the day, Anshul Gupta sir. In 2011, Anshul Gupta sir, a chartered accountant working with PwC, discovered the concept of community laundering during a visit to the USA. Inspired by this, he opened his first quick clean laundry in Delhi, India. The service gained immediate popularity in a country with an unorganized laundry sector. Within a year, Quick Clean expanded to 40 new locations. Anshul sir, at the age of 23, left his job to pursue entrepreneurship and invested 15 lakhs to start his business. Quick Clean quickly grew from small operation run by 2 people to employing over 650 individuals. It now operates in 18 plus cities across India and generates a turnover of INR 48 crores. Recognizing the environmental impact of laundry services in a country with a population of 1.3 billion, Anshul sir made sustainability a core value of Quick Clean. The company has successfully saved 60 million kgs of carbon emission and 210 million liters of water. In 2020, Quick Clean received the Best Practice for Sustainability Award. While Quick Clean has experienced steady growth over past 12 years, the Indian laundry market still remains at the size of 2 lakh crore rupees, indicating further potential for expansion. Anshul sir, along with his brother, operates Quick Clean across India, and the company is becoming the most valuable player in the Indian market. At the age of 36, he is enthusiastic about being nominated for prestigious 40 under 40 recognition and has plans to expand Quick Clean presence globally. So, with a huge round of applause, I would like to invite Anshul Gupta sir. So, please come and share your insights with everyone.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to share my journey, as I mentioned, from a financial, professional to a dhobi, I would say. Laundry is still considered to be a very unorganized segment, and typically anybody in laundry is called as a dhobi. So that was how I started my journey. I hope that my journey may inspire some of you. Like I said, I also started my career as an article with the Big Four, PwC, and there I spent almost 3-4 years. So just want to know how many of you are still into practice, or are you working, or how many of you are chartered accountants? Can you raise hand with me? Okay. What about you, sir, at the back? Ma'am, are you guys chartered accountants or great? And how many of you actually feel every day, every morning, you're not coming? Not audible. Okay. Okay. Can I use a mic? बढ़ा दिया. Okay. So कितने लोगों को आज भी ऐसा लगता है हम सुबह जब उठते हैं तो वो किक नहीं आती कि जो काम हम कर रहे हैं यार इट्स गेटिंग बोरिंग आज भी हमें जॉब पे जाना है या बैलेंस शीट्स हैंडल करनी है ऑडिट्स करनी है so for me also when I was like 23 years old I had completed almost 4 years with PwC. So when I started I fell in love with actually chartered accountancy, the exposure it gave me. At the age of 19 I was traveling to Malaysia, US for audits, and it gave me a very good exposure. But after 4 years, somewhat, अंदर से वो kick नहीं आ रही थी. And I was feeling, what I'm doing. So without a second thought, without a plan, I left my job. I had not planned, what I need to do. But I was very, very sure that what I don't want to do, that was continue doing what I was doing. Waking up every morning, handling those Excel sheets, slogging 18 hours a day, 16 hours a day. That's something I didn't want it to do. And that's where this transition started. So, a lot of my friends, since I was aspiring for engineering in my early days, couldn't crack IIT. So kind of, left engineering and then got into finance. And I come from a family which has got 42 chartered accountants. So, and I was the youngest coming from an engineering background, even when I started my coaching classes, So my tutor, actually, the teacher said, you don't, give exams in this session, like every 6 months you have this P1, do it after 6 months. And there were like 2 months left for that schedule, but I still applied and actually, I was able to crack. And that's how my journey with chartered accountancy started. And then I was fortunate to get an opportunity to work with PwC as an article, and rest is history. So yeah, so because all of my friends were into engineering, and a lot of them were actually in US doing MS, masters, So after I left my job, I just went to US to meet my friend. He was working in Yahoo in San Francisco. So I went there. Previously, when I used to go to US, I used to stay in Marriott, Radisson. Laundry was just a call away. You just call and the valet comes and it takes care. After 4 days with my friend in an apartment, I realized I need to wash my clothes. And where should I do? In his apartment, there was no washing machine. They can't afford a maid. So I said, how do you wash your clothes? And that's where he asked me to put all my laundry in a bag. And we went to a common area room which had 10, 20 machines. That was my first experience with a community washing or a self-operated laundry. And I really felt, how convenient is that? I never see that in India. Let me explore, why not we can have this in India? So that's how I came back. So this was June 2010. So I came back, and October 2010 was when I started my first ever laundromat in India. And the only motivation behind it was when I came back and I did the survey, I couldn't find any laundromat. in India. So my only motivation was if I try to do it, and even if I fail, at least I will put a mark in the history that I was the first one to start, even if I fail. So that was my motivation. Even if I fail, I would actually put my name in the history, and that's how we started. And we were fortunate. The concept was accepted. It was kind of need of the hour because there were a lot of working professionals, students, bachelors. So fortunately, the location which I selected was Satyaniketan, South Campus, which was full of bachelor students, and somehow the concept, the need, demand, and this kind of clicked. And that's where this become very popular. So I will share with you. I've been asked to share the journey. So this is how I started. But the journey is never easy. So I will share the journey. I will share my 2 cents about the startup, my 12 years in this journey, and maybe it can inspire you. Maybe it can help you. But like I said, without failing, without doing mistakes, nothing can become successful. So when I started, I prepared the plan. I came back from US, and I kind of wrote down, like being a chartered accountant, opened an Excel sheet, tried to put up a balance sheet, and I made a business plan. My mistake. I assume a domestic machine comes for 25,000. So I assume a commercial machine will come for 50,000. That's how I did my balance sheet, and jackpot. The payback was 6 months. I thought such a wonderful idea. Let me do it. But when I started reaching out, the suppliers for the machine, which are coin operated, I was shocked to hear a 6 kg machine was coming not less than 3.5 lakh rupees. So my whole business plan was trashed, and I don't know what. And that was like one of the challenge. And also to share with you, my first laundry which I started had no water. Can you imagine? There was no water. Kind of, the landlord, the property scammed me. He said there's a lot of water which comes in the shop. But when I started set it up, there was no water coming. Every morning I had to wake up at 6 o'clock to bring a tanker and put water on the 5th floor of the building where I actually had my laundry. So typically everybody talks about, startup is too much it's in fashion. Everybody thinks, I want to do a startup. And whenever you plan, it looks like, the journey will be very smooth. And that's how and that's what this conference is all about, right? All startups, everybody want to have an idea. People want to leave their jobs, which the grass is always green on the other side. Everybody thinks, let's make a business, let's make $millions of dollars. We'll have a valuation, we'll make money. But trust me, this is a real scenario. It's not easy. It's not a straight line. There are a lot of bumps. There are a lot of milestones which will change. There will be a lot of hurdles. Trust me, in last 12 years, there has not been a month, when I actually wake up and think PwC was a better place for me. Working at least on 7th, I used to get salary. But trust me, it's not an easy journey. But like I said, and like Sir said, it's not the end, it's the journey. And that's what makes it different and beautiful, and you really enjoy it. So that's been my real story. I have failed multiple times. But one thing very important, even Mr. Aniket in the morning, our president, which mentioned, you have to pivot. So you will start with something, but you can't stay or you can't stop. You have to continuously pivot if you want to be successful. So maybe you will start with an idea like I started with a community washing concept. I thought, I want to give a common, affordable laundry to all bachelors, individuals who can't afford a premium dry cleaning, who can't have afford a maid at home, both husband, wife working, fighting every weekend, who should do the laundry. Then there was a company, I think Videocon or LG, which came up, share the load, where they expect, the husband to do the laundry on the weekend. So you want to solve that. But then we evolved. Today, we are the largest B2B service provider in laundry industry. So like I said, in last 12 years, we kept on pivoting. We didn't stop. Okay, this concept is not working. We just can't stick to it. So that's my first, suggestion. Never get stuck on an idea. You have to evolve your journey, evolve your model, and then you have to keep going up. So just I'll give you a brief about what we did quickly, and then I will share. So this was the first article which came in 2011 February. This Dhobi Ghat is a hotspot. So you are in right place, right time. Sometimes luck favors you. So one of my customer, when I was doing this laundry, was a photographer with Times of India. He used to come and use our laundry service every week. Kind of, he got impressed and he brought a reporter with him and they covered us. And that's how, my first article came, this Dhobi Ghat is a hotspot. And then we got so much traction. I didn't have money to market. I didn't have money to put ads. But with this one article, we were covered by almost 18 newspapers, 13 news channels, 20 magazines covered us, which actually got a lot of traction. So free marketing, but then that actually gives us a jump start. And then after 15 days, I was getting 20, 30 calls every day. I want to start a laundry. Can you help us out? And we had no plans. So like I said, when I started, I just wanted to get out of my boring laptop and Excel sheets. I want to enjoy, what I was doing. But suddenly with so much traction coming in, I thought, now what should I do? So many people want to start laundry. So then I came into franchising because I didn't have funds. I started this with my saving of 15 lakh rupees, my first laundry shop, and then we evolved. I am a first generation entrepreneur. Like I said, I've got 42 chartered accountant in my family. All are professionals. So I'm the first generation entrepreneur. Had no backup, no funds. And we have been hearing since morning, there are a lot of government supports and policies and where you can actually get funds to fuel your startup. Only thing is about you have to search about it and easily you can get funded. So there are schemes which can give you 50 lakh rupees non-collateral, 2 crore rupees non-collateral. Again, so fund is easily available if you're solving a problem, if you have an idea. So that's how we started our journey. So me and my brother, Ankur, who's a technical professional, we both started this. I started this and I then pulled him in, which I will talk about later in my couple of slides. So we started with 2 people in 2010, and today we have even grown beyond 500 people on my payrolls. So one thing when I started, and which we are very proud that we are able to create employment, for these many people. So when I was working with PwC, my office in Gurgaon had 200 plus chartered accountants. And when I left my job, I had a dream that I need to make at least 200 jobs. So today, like I said, we've already made more than 500 direct jobs and maybe 5,000 indirect jobs in handling and automated laundry. Quick numbers. Last year, we completed almost a $7 million top line, almost like 48 crores of top line. The team size have grown beyond 650 odd people. We are present in 18 cities. And till today, we have washed 43,000 tons of linen. And that too on a sustainable mode. So in my introduction, they mentioned sustainability is at our core. So we've been constantly working to reduce carbon emissions. We're constantly working to reduce water consumption. And that's how the future of laundry is. So our mission remains, so that's where we started, to make our customers' work life easier, more profitable, and truly sustainable. That's the core which we follow. All our models, business model designs are based upon this. And our current anthem is, if it's clean, it's quick clean. So we want to expand the global forum. And today we are, I think, the only company in India which is at a national scale present in 18 cities. There are a lot of regional players, very small players, 50 years old, traditional, family-oriented laundry companies. But we've been actually able to professionalize this unorganized segment. And that's what we aspire to actually take it global. And like I said, sustainability is at our core. We have reduced almost 360 million kilos of emissions by using the best of the best technology, by processes. So that's where, being a chartered accountant, when I used to do audits, we were all about process audits. We were hired to do internal audits, to find out where is that 1% which is missing? What is that wrong? And still today, my team, my office, they are really crazy about it because I can only see that 1% which is going wrong. Being an auditor, that's how I do, and that's how we've been constantly evolving our processes and moving towards sustainability. Okay, so now my 2 cents. Let's say you want to become an entrepreneur. Like I said, it's so in fashion. And people think, let's just have an idea. And trust me, there is no idea. The first thing is identify a problem. It's not an idea; it's a problem which need to solve. So if you can, like I said, I faced the problem of how I can wash my clothes. And that actually led to an idea and a business model, right? So that's why, people kind of sit and ideate, I need an idea. I need $1 million idea. I want to become a unicorn. I think if you solve a real life problem, that's where successful startups are built. If you talk about Uber or Ola, right? They solved a problem that the taxi drivers were not ready to go in one direction. Or maybe they were charging 2-way. They will say, I will go back alone. I need to charge you for twice. Auto drivers were like, man marzi. I don't want, mera mood nahi hai, main yahan nahi jaunga. So this solved a transportation problem. So that's why, any successful startup, Zomato, we wanted to enjoy the best cuisine food, but we didn't have time to go to a restaurant. So they solved a problem. They brought restaurant to your home. So similarly, any successful startup can only work if you're actually solving a problem. So if you actually wanted to get into a startup, identify a real life problem. And that's the first step. From there, your journey of building a startup will start. Then scalability. There are a lot of problems. My wife fighting with me is a problem, right? But is it a world problem? Is it a scalable? Yes. Every husband is fighting with his wife, right? So if you can solve it, yes, you can actually build a startup. So we need to identify whether that problem is for masses or is it for region? Is it for a community? Is it for a sect? So if you identify a problem which is really scalable, like I said, Uber solved a mass problem, Zomato solved a mass problem, Paytm, payment solutions solved a mass problem. So laundry, which we are trying to solve, is a mass problem. Earlier, okay, so sharing you an example. When I started my business and I expected people to come with their laundry outside of their homes and do it in public, there were a lot of, friction. Everybody said it will not work. We are a very conservative society. We don't want to bring our undergarments to the public and wash it openly, right? My family, nobody was in, my father being a chartered accountant. I'll share with you, there was so much arguments where my mom was actually crying that after so much hard work, right, and we made you a chartered accountant, and I coming from a Bania family, I'm like Gupta. So they said, you will not get a bride. Who will, exactly, they said, who will marry you, a dhobi, who will marry a dhobi? That was the argument. But then I was so convinced, that I wanted to fail. That was my idea. And then I moved ahead against all tides and I started. Because I realized laundry is an everyday need. Hum roti, kapda, makan ki baat karte hain, right? And this was something which nobody was tapping. 2010, trust me, there were no professional players. Today you see everywhere. Laundry companies coming up everywhere, media. In last 12 years, I've actually consulted doctors, IAS officers, engineers who want to get into laundry. And that's the differentiation we've brought. We've actually brought some glamour also to laundry, which was totally a dhobi, unorganized, unprofessional. And the reason is the opportunity is big because dhobi ka beta dhobi nahi ban raha. And trust me, it's a $2 billion industry, totally untapped. Still 97% is unorganized. So like I said, anybody who wants to leave their job, want to make money, you can come to me. I can help you make some good money. So like I said, the second point is your idea or the problem has to be scalable. And that's why we call TAM, SAM, SOM. TAM is total addressable market. So your the solution which you will bring in, will it solve a problem? What is that target audience? Is it, like I said, is it a Gurgaon, a locality? Is it a national problem you're solving? And that will help you define how scalable it is. And out of that target total addressable market, how many can be your customers? Because again, it comes to affordability. Maybe I bring in a solution which is not affordable by everyone, which means out of my addressable market. So today, like I said, 1.3 billion, everybody needs to wash clothes, right? Nobody can wear dirty clothes. We are in a humid environment. Every day you need to wash clothes. So either somebody will have maids at home who can afford a maid, or we do it ourselves using machines, or we afford a outside third-party vendor, a laundry or dry cleaner. So I need to understand where I will fall. Where is the mass? And that's how we choose a self-service or a community washing concept. So second is scalability. Third, value cost of the problem. Like I said, how much money needs to be spent to solve? For example, I have a driver. I pay him 18,000 rupees and he drives my car. So my problem of driving is solved with 18,000 rupees, right? So that's a solution. But let's say if somebody hires PwC for consulting, right? And they charge you a 40 lakh rupees invoice for a valuation. So that's the cost which you need to spend if you want to get funded. So you need to understand if my offering, my solution, what is the value against the cost I'm proposing and how many people will adopt it. That's the third thing which we need to analyze. Then only we can look at whether it will become scalable, right? So that's the correlation which needs to be done. How much value, right, is a person ready to assess for the amount of money he will pay for your solution. So that's the third thing which we need to analyze. Solution, like I said, there is no idea. It's about solving a problem. So you need to identify a solution, what problem you're solving, how you will differentiate, how will you able to bring that solution to masses. That's where you need to, that's where your startup will actually fly. And there can be multiple solutions to a problem. Only thing is which is scalable. So like I said, everything is linked. It's not like one solution. So like I started with a self-service concept. But then we realized there are a lot of people who don't have time, not even 1 hour to go to a shop and do it. So we pivoted. We started offering pick and drop service. So just pay us 50 rupees more. So for example, initially Zomato was delivering free. They were not charging you anything. So they changed an habit. You started ordering like click, 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 get McDonald's, get pizza. And then slowly they started adding convenience charge. Then they started adding delivery charges. So nothing comes free. Everything comes at a cost, right? So similarly, there are multiple solutions to a problem, but you need to actually identify that solution which will be accepted by masses, and that's where you will disrupt a market. So the fourth is solution, and then founder market fit. That's very critical. Maybe you identified a problem and you have a solution. So I give you another example. Before I started laundry, I was exploring another idea. It was related to meat. I will not share that idea because still it's $1 billion idea. And after I sell my laundry company, I will start that. But the point is, it was related to meat, right? And coming, like I said, from a family, my mom straight away said, if you make money from selling meat, you don't have to enter the house. Which means that concept, that idea was not fit for me. I couldn't have got into those slaughterhouses. I was not fit for that business. So similarly, there can be a good solution for a problem, but are you fit for that? That's also very critical. Whether you're able, your community, your family will accept it. You can't leave your family just to get on a business, right? Family comes first. So you need to actually evaluate whether you are fit for that segment, you are fit for that market, whether that solution, the work which will attract, will be suitable to your profile, your experience, your culture. That's also very important. And the reasons because of this, a lot of startups fail because they are not able to actually get on ground, do things which are required for a founder to do to make it successful. So being a founder market fit is very critical. This is very critical, right team. So when I started this business, this was my idea, but I knew I couldn't do it alone. And that's why I pulled in my brother who was coming from an engineering background. So you need a co-founder. You can't do it alone. Trust me on that. Any successful startup, you will always see co-founders coming in because co-founders bring in that conviction, that commitment, which obviously, even you have the top level executive working for you, but you have to burn oil overnight. You have to think out of the box. And that's when, if you have skin in the game, then only you're able to solve real life problems. So that's why having a co-founder is very important, very critical. And then right team. You need to have team members with domain knowledge because when you build a business, you need people understanding of finance, you need people understanding of technical things, for customer service. There are a lot of things which ultimately form a company. So you need to have all the right people. No individual can build a business. You can actually do a market fit, a proof of concept, but to scale or to make a successful business, you need right team. And the most important is right partners. So when I started my journey, we were looking for the right partner for technology. And that's where we joined hand with Electrolux Professional from Sweden. They are the world leaders in professional laundry equipment. And till today, we have learned a lot with them. We have evolved with them. They were actually a major contributor in what we know about laundry. Because before I started, I've never washed clothes myself. But with them, we were able to explore different markets. Community washing was 50 years old concept in US. I went to Japan. I traveled 35 countries to understand how the evolution of laundry commercialization has happened. And we don't need to spend 50 years or wait 50 years. We can jumpstart. So with that learning, with that exposure, we were able to quick start and upgrade the laundry industry from where it was to where today it is. So that's why right partners are very important. Partners which will have skin in the game. So a market for India market for Electrolux was a no-go. They said India cannot afford our products. They came to India almost 20 years back. They packed their bags and went out. We brought them back because we realized they have the best solution. They have the knowledge of developing different countries, laundry industry in those countries. So we picked up such kind of partners, and that's which contributed to our growth today. So in any problem solving, you will need technology, you will need equipments, you will need knowledge, domain knowledge. So choosing the right partners is very important, very critical. Then go to market strategy. Just imagine, when I entered laundry industry, totally unorganized, uneducated players, dhobis, nobody understand English. If I talk about equipments, lakhs of rupees, nobody was appreciating. we are in Mumbai, right? Dharavi, the biggest Dhobi Ghat. It's an icon where people actually pay ticket fees to actually go and see it, right? This is a real scenario. You will, if somebody remember, there was an article in the newspaper where hospital laundries were dried on the roadside. A lot of premium hospitals were using traditional dhobis for handling their linen. You know, such a critical thing, infection control, and the linen is being washed on the road. So a totally unorganized industry. That's where, you know, we had to have a plan. I personally did over 100 seminars across India. I went to do road shows. I was attracting people who were in laundry industry, whether they are dhobis or old dry cleaners, anybody who wants to start a laundry. I used to book hotels, conference rooms, bring 20 people, 30 people. So my first conference, 5 people joined. And I talked about what should happen in laundry, how we can automate it, you know, how we can differentiate. The last seminar I did had 1,700 people. So you need to have a go-to-market strategy where you need to reach out to your customer. Don't wait. वो कहते हैं ना कुआं और प्यासा, कुआं प्यासे के पास नहीं आएगा. So we have to go out in the market, and that's where I created partners. We did a lot of first in the industry. We went to road shows, we went to customers, educated them. I converted a lot of traditional dry cleaners who were washing in concrete tubs to actually automate their process. Work with us, come together. We are now reaching out to hotels, hospitals. I'm proud to share as quickly, and we solved the problem for Indian Navy. So today, all Indian Navy ships, INS Tarkash, INS Vikramaditya, has Quicklin solution on board. And I was proud to do that, you know. So in 2016, there was an article in the newspaper where there was a tender which talked about that Indian Navy is looking for a laundry solution. And like I said, you know, whenever I used to hear a word laundry, I used to just jump on it. So I called in that landline number. I was fortunate to connect with the fleet commander, and I asked him an appointment. So I came to Kolaba in Mumbai, and I sat with him. And being a consultant, you know, in my chartered accountant consultant, so I sat and asked, sir, what is your problem? He said, you are from Quicklin, give us a solution. But I said, sir, I need to understand your problem. So as we all know, you know, for Navy, the pride is their uniform, the white uniform they wear. And 6 months Navy is in the sea. They had traditional equipments, 20 years old. They all were damaged because in sea you have this humidity, salt content. So these machines were not working. They were actually doing manual washing on the ship. And literally I saw tears in the eyes of the fleet commander. And I was fortunate, so I come from a force background, like my school was CRPF. So I always aspired to join force. And again, a funny story. I was the one who applied for NDA, right? I convinced my 5 friends to fill the form and went for the exam. And I was the only person who didn't appear for the exam. Because my mom said, you will not go for force, while we are 3 brothers. And out of those 4 friends, 3 are today in army. And I couldn't. So I always wanted to, get this opportunity to work for force. And it was very proud feeling. So just imagine being a laundry guy, right? I got the opportunity to go into our submarines. I went on INS Vikramaditya just being a laundry guy. So that's how critical, how lives we touch being a laundry guy. So like I said, education, go to the market strategy is very important. If you're working in an unorganized sector, you have to do things differently. There's no rule book. When I didn't even knew which machines I need to buy, how much big space I need. So you need to constantly evolve. You need to do research. You need to do R&D. You have to be updated. And then networking, like I said. From my small seminars of 5 people, I was able to bring 1,700 people in one platform. So that we need to continuously do. Similarly, what Uber did, how they got drivers. So I was interacting with one of the initial core team member of Ola, and they didn't have drivers because they used to get fixed daily fees, 800, 2,000 rupees. How would you onboard them? So they used to actually go to airport outside, these tea stalls are there where all the drivers will sit. Their team used to sit with them, convince them, you can make more money. They used to incentivize them. They got 1 driver. Then the driver will promote another 2 drivers. And that's how the journey of Ola and Uber started. It was not easy to get thousands of traditional drivers to come on board. And in 2015, one of my Uber driver was actually Goldman Sachs, ex-Goldman Sachs. Yes. So I was driving in Bangalore. So I just asked, the driver what you do, because he was pretty, French beard, very nice t-shirt. He said, I left my job in Goldman Sachs because I was earning 5 lakh rupees, 50,000 rupees a month. And in Uber, I'm making 90,000 rupees. So that's how, just imagine, they disrupted the market, that people were leaving Goldman Sachs job and starting driving. So you have to do things differently. That's where the go-to-market strategy has to be there. This is again very critical. Like I said, the journey of a startup or a founder is a very lonely journey. You have no one to reach out to because nobody believes in what you are doing. People will laugh at your ideas. People will say whatever you're planning to do will never succeed. So mentor is very critical. Otherwise, like I said, it's a very lonely journey. You will face challenges. You will have no one to share your ideas. And that's where in any startup journey, a mentor is very important. Doesn't have to be a paid director or something. Anybody doesn't have to be a domain knowledge or ex-laundry guy or a somebody who has the same business knowledge. Somebody who's ready to hear, who has some experience of industry, any business. So hold on to a mentor, which will definitely jumpstart, counsel you, and will help you in troubled times. Like I said, when you feel. So again, sharing a small example. When I was in PwC, I never believed in destiny. I used to fight with my mom. You write your own destiny. There is nothing is there. You can work hard, build your own destiny. I came into business, became, a startup founder. And there are days when you sleep at night, you think there is no solution. Everything looks very blurred, dark, right? And you don't know how you will come out of that situation. And then you sleep. Morning you wake up, you will have some solution. I have seen those days. And then I realized I just slept overnight. I didn't do anything, right? Which means there is some supernatural, there is some destiny, right? Which will open doors. So that's where I started believing in destiny and being supernatural. So there are times which are very troubled. So a mentor will definitely help you out in understanding and sharing whatever your problems are. Last, before I end this journey, is pivot. Before I started, I said, you have to evolve. You can't be stagnant. You can't just stick on what you thought. And if you're emotional being a startup founder, trust me, you will fail. So you always have to keep emotions aside. So I'll share you a small story. I started with the small laundry concept, right? Today, one of my largest customer, is actually doing better than what I thought. So there's a brand called Tumble Dry. In last 2 years, they've opened 650 outlets. More number of outlets than KFC, McDonald's or Pizza Hut. They are today the largest retail chain. And we are one of the contributors or partners with them. But this was my idea 12 years back. So if I was emotional, okay, no, this is my idea, nobody else can do it. I had to make it successful because we realized in 2013, the self-service concept is not working because people want convenience. People are ready to pay for people, manpower is cheap. So we pivoted, we exited, we moved to a different business model and we kept on evolving. So from a first year turnover of 20 lakh rupees, we've scaled our business to almost 48 crore rupees per annum. So you have to continuously pivot. You can't just stick to what you thought when you started. Continuously evolve, change your idea, change your business plan, and that's where your journey will keep continuing. So guys, this was my 2 cents. If you want to get into a startup, anything. In laundry, the market is open. Like I said, it's a $2 billion industry and there's a huge potential. So in case you want to start up anything in laundry, please reach out to me. Thank you so much, guys. And last, yeah. Sorry. So my mentor is my dad. And like I said, when I started, nobody believed in my idea. Even my dad was very averse. But after 3 months, when he realized he will not set back, he will become a dhobi. And that's when he came forward. He said, okay, you want to try, you want to fail, I am with you. And that's how he's been our mentor. I always reach out to him, usually when we need funds, being a chartered accountant, so he can help us out with banking and everything. But yes, he's been my mentor over the last 12 years. Sorry. See, passion has to be there. So like I said, my first laundry started with no water. I used to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to fill my water tank on the 5th floor. I used to actually pull this water pipe from the tanker to the top roof and fill every day. That used to be my starting, start of the day. So I was more passionate about because it was different. I was coming out from a boring life of sitting on laptop, looking at documents and filing. So, and gradually I built my passion. Passion was to solve something. to create an impact. And I'm very proud, very happy on where I am. I'm able to build jobs, create jobs. We are impacting in terms of social front. We are able to reduce water, carbon emissions, and that's where we are differentiating. And even impact on the world. That laundry, while it is very small, and trust me, when I started, there was no respect. So today, when we serve hotels, we work with Taj, ITC, Marriott, Radisson, name a brand, we work with them. And I don't remember a day when I entered a hotel from the back gate. So we created that respect for ourselves, because today in laundry industry, if today, let's say, if we are not serving, we stop washing clothes, no airline can fly, no railways can fly. You get this brown packets in railway when you take a train. Just imagine, without that, can you do your journey of 40 hours? No. A hospital cannot operate without laundry. They need clean linen. They need OT linen. A hotel cannot have check-ins. So that's how critical our industry is. And that's what we are trying to do. So we are trying to create that respect for a very unorganized laundry sector. And I'm proud to share that we are on the right path. We are able to create that impact. Sorry. We are still bootstrapped. So like I said, if you are solving a problem, trust me, funding is not a problem. See, a lot of people start a business or a startup just to get funded. I hear a lot of founders or startups saying, if you ask them what is your vision, they will say, I want to become the first unicorn in my industry, or I want to become a unicorn. What is unicorn? Right? Most of these startups today, if you look at who's been funded, have fun, it's all bubble values. So you need to actually solve a problem, like I said, to have a real value. You have to impact lives. You have to impact on ground what you're able to contribute to environment. Right? So like I said, we are still bootstrapped and we are scaling up. It's okay. Thank you. See, like I said, have a good night's sleep, everything will be fine next day. So whenever you are, short of motivation, see, trust me, like I showed the curve. Okay, I'll show you again. Yeah, so, okay. Can you present? Keep on trying, and like I said, pivot. Don't get stuck. You need to constantly evolve, constantly keep on moving ahead, and you will solve a problem. Sorry, I'll just take this.
So I have two questions actually. One is, how do you find the right mentor for you? What if you don't see a person in your life who you think can be a potential mentor?
So basically, see, there is no school for mentors. Nobody will come with a degree as a mentor or a tag. It's about somebody who can listen to you, who can, without knowing anything, can give you comfort. So you need somebody who can actually listen to your wayward ideas, stupid ideas. And that's what mentoring is all about. It's not about he will give you a recipe to become a millionaire or become a unicorn. It's about somebody who has those ears when you want to speak out. Because, see, trust me, like I said, the journey is very lonely. You can't show your emotions to your employees, your team members, because they always look towards you. You have to always have that smiling face in front of your team members. You have to have that confident face in front of your vendors, your partners. You can't show them, I don't have money to pay you, because tomorrow the cycle will stop. So you always have to have that smile face facing all these people. But then you need somebody in front of whom you can cry. And that's what mentorship is all about. It's not about recipe. It's not about education. It's about somebody. And like I said, nobody will come with a tag. Your wife can be a mentor. Anybody who's a good listener, I would say, can be your mentor.
Thank you, sir. So, and second question is, as a founder, do you need to have prior knowledge of the core business? Like, for example, we are chartered accountants. Our strength is numbers. So I have faith in my numbers ability, but tomorrow I decide to start, for example, laundry business. Do I need in-depth knowledge of the laundry business, or it can be figured out as I go?
See, so first of all, we all are very fortunate that our curriculum, when we become a chartered accountant, actually gives us a lot of exposure. And I always vouch the articleship is the most critical time. If you do proper articleship, the best exposure you get in your articleship is deep diving, observing businesses from very close. And that's what, I would always thank my exposure with PwC, where I was able to interact with listed clients, I was able to get into. So I was fortunate to even do an audit for United Breweries. where at 4 o'clock a freshly brewed beer used to come to our cabin, So you're actually able to observe processes. See, for any business, you don't need domain knowledge, right? You can hire people with domain knowledge. It's about that commitment, that passion, that knack for solving a problem, like I said. And then see, like I said, pivoting. We have been pivoting. It's not like that I want to do only self-service laundry. We pivoted, we came from B2C to B2B. We evolved further. Now we are actually getting into a lot of other things. So now we don't call ourselves as a laundry company. We call ourselves a sustainable company. We're offering sustainable solutions to hotels, hospitals, every sector we are doing. So like I said, you need to have the knack for solving a problem. The domain knowledge is easily available.
Thank you, sir.
After qualifying as a chartered
don't have a
accountant.
kid now.
Yeah. So
Yes,
just
kidding.
a
Yeah.
question. So like we have qualified and we have an idea and we are very hell bent that yes we can do it. So will you advise that first work for a couple of years or 4-5 years and gain some maturity and then start, or will you advise a 22 or 23-year-old kid that he should just jump in and start?
See, I started at 23, right? But like I said, there is no recipe, whether you should first work or do a startup. There are startups founders which are 18 years old, 17 years old who have cracked something. So like I said, but like for me, like I said, whatever I do today, right, thanks to my exposure which I got when I was working with PwC.
Right.
So I'll share you another example. During my article days, when I was applying for articleship, I applied for KPMG, Deloitte, EY, all the big fours. I got rejected from KPMG on the grounds of my communication. So KPMG said, I hope nobody's from KPMG, no offense, but that actually motivated me to work on my communication skills. They said your communication is not as per our standards, and they rejected my articleship. But I was fortunate to get an opportunity with EY and PwC, and I chose PwC that time because we were the best that time. And we're still best. So I got the opportunity to work with them, and that's what I chose. I got domain knowledge. Before that, like I said, there's no business in my family. I never got exposure to any business. So that gave me a good exposure. So for me, if you ask me, I would really suggest work for some time, because then you get to know, that you have to wake up at 8 o'clock, reach office on time, and then you understand the value of time, money, how to delegate things, how to work as a team when you work with your peers, when you report to your seniors. So I think that's something which is invaluable. Maybe 6 months, maybe 6 years, depends on individual. But yes, working for someone will definitely add value when you actually get into a startup.
And you said you are from a science background. So does that also add value, being a person from a science background as well as a CA, or?
See, like I said, I don't know if it adds value, but yes, science helped me with clearing my CA because I was good at numbers. Because when you study for non-medical, you actually get onto a different level of mathematics. That actually helped me sail through CA, right? But whether that will help me in business, see, like I said, every entrepreneur is different. There are entrepreneurs who've not even completed graduation or maybe 12th. So it's more about knowledge. It's more about passion. Today, everything is available online. There are a lot of online sites, Coursera, where you actually learn anything. Recently, I heard there 12 years old guy doing coding as well, learning online. So you don't need a degree. And to share with you, I completed my graduation after 7 years. So when I was not able to clear engineering, so I just joined BBA because I didn't had good scores in my 12th CBSE exam. I couldn't get into DU, which everybody wants. So, but my third year final exam actually clashed with my P2 exams. And that time I had to choose between whether I should do my graduation exams or should I complete my P2 exams. And like I said, coming from a CA background, CA family, everybody told me, after BBA, you will not get a job. But at least after P2, you complete, you can start your articleship and you can start your work. So I chose that. So after 4 years, when I wanted to do MBA, when I looked back and I saw I'm not even a graduate. And unfortunately, that time, CA degree is not considered to be a graduation degree. It's a professional course. Now I think it has evolved and now you can actually go for a post-graduation. So when I remembered that I need to now go for an MBA and I didn't had a graduation degree, that's when I went back to my university and I said, I want to, complete my graduation. It took me 7 years to get my graduation done.
Yeah. Very inspiring to hear that. Thank you.
Yes. Sorry.
Did you burn cash at any point of time in your journey?
So, sir, coming from a Bania family, we never learned to burn cash. So trust me, my business has been profitable from day one. The day I started my first laundromat.
So I'm happy to hear that. I wanted to hear that actually,
Yeah.
because
I don't believe in burning cash.
general belief is that for any startup you need to have lot of cash to burn.
So that's what I'm saying. And those are the most of the startups which fail. If you look at, so obviously, like, if you have a concrete, if you're solving a problem, you can never burn. If you're just trying to become a unicorn, you just want to be in fashion of being a startup founder or being in startup. Yes, maybe. But like I said, in last 12 years, all our balance sheets are in positive.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, please.
Anshul,
I can't hear you. Can you give the mic? Oh, sorry.
Anshul, one question.
Just one.
If anybody from all of us, listening to you, want to get involved or go along with you in your journey, how can they participate? With this journey.
So just sharing with you, obviously we are into multiple sectors. We are building our own business, like I said, and we are evolving. But then in my last journey of 12 years, I have consulted over 3,000 people, entrepreneurs, and we brought them into laundry industry. So if you want to enter laundry industry, we have a complete mechanism where we can consult you, help you build your business from scratch. You don't have to do the same mistake or repeat the mistake which we did. So we have learned over the years. So we have helped a lot of entrepreneurs. Like I said, I've consulted doctors, IAS officers, engineers, and chartered accountants, a lot of them, to actually get into laundry. And today, I see every month. So there are so many professionals now who have ventured into laundry. Somehow it is now becoming very fashionable also to get into laundry, because still it is 97% unorganized. And it's a $2 billion. And trust me, even if it was COVID, right? People need washed clothes. So we were able to come out of this COVID also very fast. So whether it is total, capital breakdown, markets will crash, people will not stop wearing clothes, and people will not stop washing clothes. So the market is pretty open, and there's a pie for everyone. There's a huge potential. So you can start even with 5 lakh rupees. People are starting business with 5 lakh rupees, and you can go up to crores also too. Depends upon the scale, depends upon how much take home you want to do, how much time you want to commit. It depends upon on that. Yes, please.
So, how do you figure out that, okay, the way you've been conducting your business, there was a problem with it? And then, say, in your example, you pivoted from a B2C sort of a business to a B2B sort of a business. So, how do you come to this realization that, okay, this was the problem or this was the mistake that I was doing? And how do you identify that this is the remedy or the solution that I need to make in order to make my business better?
Okay, so when I was doing B2C, I had 40 stores. I opened 40 franchisee stores. All had contract signed. After a year, I did a small conference of my franchisees. In the franchisee conference, I was presenting them vision. We will go national. We will have marketing budgets. We will make it a national brand. The feeler which I got, everybody, in between all those, they were all talking about why should we pay royalty to Quicklane. We already know everything about the business. It's a localized business. People are coming to wash clothes. Why should we pay royalty to Quicklane? Right. So like you said, there is no. So this was a sign. And being very young at that age, I didn't want to get into legal. So I actually created an exit route for them. I charged everybody a 5 lakh rupees exit fees. I actually collected almost 2 crore rupees from those 40 people and exited. And I used that money and actually, like I said, I pivoted from that franchisee model to my own stores B2B model. So like I said, you have to be smart in choosing. Either I want to get into legal battle, where in India we know cases take 20 years to come, or you can be smart enough to, I actually gathered that 2 crore rupees of cash, invested and scaled my business. So okay, great. So I will end with this smart quote of, which I always stay hungry, stay foolish. And that's what our journey has been. We always keep on learning. There is no end for learning. Every day we learn, even in our industry where I would say we've spent 12 years. Every day we come across technologies, people who bring in so much knowledge, right? Until if you say that I know everything, there's no scope of improvement or learning. So we have to stay foolish. And that hunger, so when I started my first interview on Young Turks, I talked about becoming India's biggest laundry chain. Today, our vision is to become world's laundry chain. So we have to be, keep being hungry, so that we have to set a new milestone. That's the only way to grow. So again, if you want to become a startup founder, entrepreneur, I know it's pretty boring to work for others. That was the only reason I left my job, because it was getting too boring to work for anybody else. But even today, my company, I've got over 600 plus people, and we've got ESOPs. So I've made my team members actually part. Still, we are not funded. We don't know whether we'll get funded or not, but they are core team members. They are co-owners of my company. There are almost 58 people who co-own Quicklin today with ESOPs and shareholding. So that's how you can build team and take them along. That's the only way. So that's it. Thank you guys for your patience, and I hope I am able to inspire an individual to leave their job and move ahead. Thank you.
So a huge round of applause for Anshul sir. थैंक यू सो मच सर फॉर शेयरिंग योर जर्नी और ये बताने के लिए कि सीए होने के बाद भी इंसान क्या क्या कर सकते हैं. द बेस्ट थिंग आई लाइक्ड वाज द सस्टेनेबिलिटी कि इतना इवन योर बिजनेस इज सच कि लॉन्ड्री में होते हुए भी यू टेक केयर ऑफ द एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स, सो दैट इज अमेजिंग एंड स्टिल मेक ह्यूज प्रॉफिट. सो आई एम वेरी इंस्पायर्ड एंड आई एम प्रीटी श्योर दैट यू ऑल आर वेरी इंस्पायर्ड. सो नाउ आई वुड लाइक टू रिक्वेस्ट पिंकी केडिया मैम फॉर द वर्ड ऑफ थैंक्स एंड टू प्रेजेंट द मोमेंटो.
I recognize the presence of the mastermind of this huge gathering and startup. इन्होंने जैसे बताया ना, तो वो बोलते ना, जो एक मेरे को इनको देख के ना वो कोट याद आ गया अब्दुल कलाम का, कि सपने वो नहीं होते जो रात को सोते हुए देखते हैं, सपने वो होते हैं जिनकी वजह से नींद नहीं आती. धीरज जी 3 महीने से स्लीपलेस नाइट बिता रहे हैं, ये अपने जो ह्यूज प्रोग्राम देख रहे हैं उसके लिए. तो आज इनके चेहरे की हंसी देख के इनका आज सपना वो पूरा हुआ, जिसकी वजह से 3 महीने से सोए नहीं है. एंड सर, इफ यू वांट टू से समथिंग सर. ओके, सो मोमेंटो पहले दे दो सर, प्लीज ज्वाइन फॉर मोमेंटो. So now my task to give a formal vote of thanks to सी अतुल जी. जब अतुल जी का सुना मैंने कि उन्होंने ये आइडिया कहाँ से आया, तो हमें बचपन की वो बात याद आ गई कि आवश्यकता आविष्कार की जननी है. जैसा उन्होंने कहा कि उन्हें जब लॉन्ड्री की जरूरत पड़ी तब उन्हें याद आया कि लॉन्ड्री होनी चाहिए, कम्युनिटी लॉन्ड्री होनी चाहिए. तो उसी हिसाब से इन्होंने अपनी शुरुआत की. एंड आई वांट टू समराइज व्हाट ही एडवाइज्ड अस to start any startup. First you have to fix the things what you want to do and what is the problem and what is the solution for that. कि जो भी ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है जिसको आप सॉल्यूशन कर सकते हो, देन आप कैश बर्न कभी नहीं करोगे. ठीक है, तो जो कॉमन प्रॉब्लम है उसको आपको फाइंड आउट करना है. देन यू हैव टू, यू नेवर गेट स्टक इन एन आइडिया. You have to change according to your situation and according to market. And there are many government scheme, and you have to find out which scheme is better for you and from which scheme you can get the funding. And for success of any startup, he is saying that you have to take a marketability and value cost mechanism you have to see. And what they are, he is saying that ground check. You should check the groundability that whether your product or your startup will sustain or not. एंड अभी सबसे ज़्यादा ज़रूरी होता है ESG, जो इन्होंने अपने स्टार्टअप में ऑलरेडी कवर किया हुआ है. कितना वाटर बचा रहे हैं ये, कितना कार्बन इमिशन बचा रहे हैं. तो ESG इज ऑल्सो वन ऑफ द फैक्टर इन नाउ ए डे वी आर सीइंग इन स्टार्टअप. एंड सबसे लास्ट बट नॉट लीस्ट, मेंटर होना, बहुत अच्छा मेंटर होना बहुत ज़रूरी है. क्यों मेंटर यदि होते तो आप कभी भी यदि डाउन हुए तो वो आपको तुरंत लिफ्ट अप कर देते हैं। तो जैसा इन्होंने बताया कि हाँ, एक मेंटर बहुत ज़रूरी है, हमारे पास भी धीरज जी जैसा मेंटर है जो हमें लिफ्ट अप करते रहते हैं और हम ये सब करते रहते हैं। तो थैंक यू धीरज जी, थैंक यू अंशुल जी, and thank you Piyush, and thank you all the participant of this program for your patience hearing. Thank you.